You are looking inside the Boston Garden, where in just a few minutes, the greatest basketball show on earth, the NBA championship, will begin. It matches the surprising Phoenix Suns against the Boston Celtics. JoJo White of the Celtics, Mr. Consistency. Paul Silas, the chairman of the glass backboard. He will team up with Don Nelson, who will replace the injured John Havlicek in Tommy Heitz's starting lineup. And of course, the center, Mr. Hustle, David Cowens. And in the backcourt, Charlie Scott, who was traded by Phoenix to the Celtics. John Havlicek, tending to his injured left foot, will not start. May see some action. Over in the Phoenix locker room, the message is simple. Beat the Celtics, it's 120,000. And Rookie of the Year, Alvan Adams, is ready, talking to Keith Erickson. Garfield Hurd will team up front along with Curtis Perry. And in the backcourt for John McLeod's Suns, another rookie, Ricky Sobers, who will be there along with Paul Westphal, who was traded by the Celtics over to Phoenix. So, good afternoon, everybody, and a welcome here to the Boston Garden and Game 1 of this championship series. So nice you could be with us this afternoon. I'm Brent Musburger, along with Mindy Rudolph and Sonny Hill, and it is a pleasure today to welcome not only a marvelous basketball player, but also a very close friend of mine to this broadcast, Rick Barry. And I got to ask you off the top, big guy, why are you sitting here in this nice new sport coat and not out there warming up?
Well, it's with mixed emotions, but it's mainly because of the fact the Phoenix Suns outplayed us in our series, and they deserve to be here, and they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. I think they played excellent basketball, and we just didn't play up to our capabilities.
Rick, let's take a look at some of the highlights of that 7th game, the loss to Phoenix.
And you can call them highlights. I call them the lowlights.
All right.
Well, here we see the first play with Phil Smith making an initial penetration and pitching it out to me for an open jump shot, something that we lacked a great deal of in the 3rd and 4th quarters of that game. Now, here we see the offensive board work. Here's a shot going up by Hurd. You see Perry coming up with the offensive rebound, shooting and missing, and another offensive rebound, that time by Adams. And this is one area of the game that we really suffered in the whole series, offensive boards. A great steal by Paul Westphal from Clifford Ray. Now watch this great dunk. He goes up and dunks it right over Phil Smith, who's a great leaper in himself. Here we see Jamal Wilkes trying to get a shot up, and Paul Westphal makes another good play, double teaming, stealing the ball. Excellent behind the back pass to Ricky Sobers, who had a fine series for a rookie in playoff competition. Now we'll see another play where it's mostly one-on-one by the Warriors. This is in the 2nd half, and it's Charles Johnson hitting a jump shot this time, putting us ahead by 1 point. It was still a pretty close game. We're trailing by 4 at this point, and it's a little pick-and-roll play by myself and Clifford Ray. Unfortunately, he loses the handle on the ball. They pick it up. Gar Hurd pitches the ball out, and there's Van Arsdale pitching the ball to Adams, and Adams goes up and makes the dunk shot, and this is when they really started to pull away from us. The momentum really changed then. Here we see Ricky Sobers moving the basketball over to the far corner. Curtis Perry coming around off a nice screen by Van Arsdale, hitting the jump shot. They had real good ball movement, and here's excellent penetration by Sobers, something that we were not able to shut down in that 2nd half. Pitches the ball out to Gar Hurd, who makes the jump shot. He had a great game against us. They all had great games. It was a situation where everybody played well for Phoenix, and we just didn't get the performances that we needed.
Obviously, Rick Barry has nothing but respect for Phoenix. Now, we have assigned Mindy Rudolph and Sonny Hill to the respective general managers today. We'd like to hear from Red Auerbach and Jerry Colangelo. We'll come back and take a look at the 2 general managers who have put together these championship teams as the NBA Today on CBS continues in just a moment.
You are beautiful. Come on, pal, I'll buy you a beer.
2 Old Milwaukee. That's my beer.
Win or lose, you can always count on the great taste of Old Milwaukee. It's named after the city that means beer. And it lives up to the Milwaukee tradition because Old Milwaukee beer tastes as great as its name.
Let's talk about next week.
Old Milwaukee beer tastes as great as its name.
Now Radio Shack makes it easy to put two-way CB radio in your car, truck, or boat, because this one is only $129.95. The realistic Model 52 is ready to talk on all 23 Citizens Band channels to any other CB radio. Mobile, or desktop, or walkie-talkie. Just like you'd use a telephone, but without the monthly bills. Low-priced, realistic two-way radios only at Radio Shack. A Tandy company.
It was just a year ago, May 23rd, that the Phoenix Suns and the Boston Celtics made that trade. Charlie Scott from Phoenix to Boston for Paul Westphal. Charlie, in 12 playoff games, has fouled out of 6 of them. However, against Cleveland in Game 6, he came away with a sensational play. It was late in the ball game, and the Cavaliers were closing in on the Celtics, trying to get right back in the ball game. Charlie Scott was able to sense it. He intercepted the pass. He drove down for the basket that put it away. Let's find out more about that trade. Let's go down to Sonny Hill, who is with Red Auerbach. Sonny?
Red, the ball game is one where there has to be a psychological situation involved. The Phoenix basketball team fought very hard to get here. How do you, as a general manager, the head of your organization, prepare your team for this upcoming series?
Well, as far as we're concerned, it's a final of an NBA playoff. We don't care who's here or how they got here. You've got to be motivated sky high. You've got to play with an intense intensity if you want to be rhetoric. But I will say this, we're ready for it. I think a lot depends on Havlicek, because we don't know how long he's going to last. We don't know how fast he's going to be. And we got to go not even game by game, I would say minute by minute, as far as John is concerned. And without him, it changes our game, because we go from a running ball game to less of a running ball game. From a team that might score 110 points, we've got to go down to about 95 points, and we've got to really bear down and be strong on our defense.
You made a trade last year, which I talked about during the Washington Golden State series, Charlie Scott for Paul Westphal, which I happen to feel is a good trade for both ball clubs. How do you see that situation?
Well, Sonny, I think you're right. I think it's helped both ball clubs. See, they're more of a deliberate type, and they play the possession ball. So they'll hit the man, and they'll make a little screen, and they'll come around. Now, Westphal is a very good one-on-one player with an outside shot. But we need a guy that can consistently go up and down the court, penetrate more, and hand off. Our guy, for what we need, is Charlie Scott. Now, I never took anything away from Westphal. I mean, I drafted him #1. Otherwise, you know, I had to think he was great. And he has been great. He's had a fantastic year. But with Westphal in the backcourt, along with JoJo, you've got 2 of the same type ball players that can shoot from outside, but neither of them are real penetrating playmaker types. So I needed Charlie Scott for this ball club. And remember one thing, on top of all this, we lost to Don Chaney. Now, that didn't help us either.
Okay, Red, thank you very much. Let's go down to Mindy Rudolph and Jerry Colangelo.
Around the league, they call it the John and Jerry Show. Welcome to Boston, Jerry.
Thank you very much, Bendy. It's a big thrill for all of us to be here, of course. Not many people expected us to make the playoffs, let alone the second round, and beat the world champion Golden State Warriors, so it's a real pleasure to be here.
Jerry, for the first time since 1957, we're going to see a team in the finals with 2 rookies, and that'll be Alvan Adams and Ricky Sobers.
Well, you know, we were very happy and very fortunate to have the kind of a draft we had last year, and it's a matter of circumstances. If a player gets into the right situation and gets the opportunity, like Alvan and Ricky did, they got the playing time and had the opportunity to develop.
Now, we expect somehow to have the Boston guards pick up your guards real high. In talking to some of your players, Ricky Sobers especially, and Paul Westphal, they expect to be pressed as they bring the ball up court.
Well, that's one advantage they have on us in the backcourt. That in Charlie Scott and JoJo White, they have the quickest backcourt in the league. We have more or less power guards in Van Arsdale, Westphal, Sobers, and so on. It's going to be a challenge. We expect that kind of pressure, and we're going to have to do a good job breaking that pressure.
And of course, we've got to consider what will Alvan Adams do against Dave Cowens, the premier center in the NBA right now.
Well, you know, Alvan is a facsimile of Dave Cowens. Dave Cowens was the first small center to really make it as big as he has. Alvan is somewhat that type of player, probably does not play with as much aggressiveness. But Alvan has risen to the occasion many times this year, and he can do just about anything, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, Chair. From all of us at CBS, the best of luck to you. Let's go back to Rick and Brent Musburger.
Mendy, we just received word from Erie, Pennsylvania, and Tom Brookshire. Bizarro did not sustain any serious injury. I know a lot of you are watching that fight. Duran really took it to him. Now we're getting ready for Game 1, the championship series. Phoenix against Boston. During the regular season, the Celtics beat the Suns all 4 times that they played. Rick, what are some of the keys and some of the composite box scores we can talk about?
Well, Mindy, of course, everybody, I mean, Brent, I call you Mindy. Everybody likes to look at statistics, and we have some box scores up here as far as the averages during the playoffs for the different players. Let's take a look first at the Phoenix Suns. You can see that they had exceptionally good shooting percentages there in the second column, 46 for Hurd, 46, 45 for Perry, right on down the line, and they have to try to maintain that against the Celtics if they want to have a good chance. Also, they must do a good job on the boards. The Celtics have dominated the boards in their series plays thus far, and Phoenix did a good job against us for being one of the weaker rebounding teams. As far as Boston is concerned, they didn't have as good a shooting percentage from some of their people. Silas is way down in the second series against Cleveland, but he's still shooting 43. Cowens, 43%. So the edge a little bit has to go there as far as shooters with Phoenix. But I think what it really boils down to, Brent, is how well Phoenix is going to be able to handle the pressure put on by the Celtics and whether they can execute their patterns. They're a well-disciplined team. If they can't execute their patterns, the Celtics have a tremendous advantage. Also, the play of Keith Erickson and Dick Van Arsdale is going to be vital to the Suns' success.
All right, we're just about ready for the opening tap, and we'll be back with it as the NBA Today on CBS continues in just a moment.
Humming all across the land. It's the sound of America, from little cars to vans.
And on the city streets, for driving the country roads, for making the way smooth and easy, America rides Monroe.
Monroe. It's the #1 shock absorber in the world. You'll feel the difference.
First in shocks, the name you know, America rides Monroe.
Zebco's new 33XBL has the finest spin cast features in a conventional size reel. Convenient, sensitive thumb touch drag, stainless steel ball bearing smoothness, interchangeable right or left hand retrieve. Zebco's new 33XBL with all the features fishermen want most. Reels and rods, camping equipment, Ben Pearson Archery. From Zebco, the folks you fish with.
The NBA Championship on CBS will continue after this word from your local station. With the Summer Olympics still weeks away, they're already setting records for spending money. 60 Minutes tonight on CBS.
Give it all you got, take your very best shot, and may the best team win. The time is now, the name of the game is action. They're on the floor and they're ready to score, so let the game begin. And let's see how the ball's gonna bounce today. Welcome to NBA, come on and join the rest of the crowd. There's a line of classical bounds from your way. You'll see the best in basketball when you watch the
Today's NBA Championship game is sponsored by Datsun, America's #1 selling import for cars and trucks. Datsun saves. And by Light Beer, everything you always wanted in a beer and less.
The crowd has come to its feet inside the Boston Garden. The Celtics are being introduced for the 14th time. They are ready to start a championship series. 12 of the 13 previous times, the Boston Celtics have come away with a winner. Their fans expect nothing less. Tommy Heinsohn, the head coach, who has been bothered by an upset stomach and also an eye problem later this week, is as nervous as he always is and ready to get it on. As far as the matchups are concerned, Rick Barry, we have a couple of very interesting confrontations in this game. Obviously, all of us yesterday pointed out the battle of the boards and how critical that was going to be. Garfield Hurd will be assigned by John McLeod to take Paul Silas when the Celtics have the ball. We're going to have to watch and see if they're switching at the other end. Curtis Perry then is left with Don Nelson. Nelson replacing the injured John Havlicek. And then, as Rick Barry and Mindy Rudolph and Sonny Hill have pointed out all week long, the battle of the centers. Cowens against Adams. Can the rookie take charge and handle himself against Dave Cowens. In the backcourt, Charlie Scott, who is the best defensive guard the Celtics have, will try Ricky Sobers, a rookie who had a hot hand against the Warriors. The other matchup will pit JoJo White against Paul Westphal. Rick, do you see any other keys there?
Well, actually, I think that the offensive boards is really going to be the key, Brent. In fact, we have a statistic that we're going to point out from time to time. How many times the team can score on offensive rebounds. I think that's going to be vital to the success of whatever team wins this ball game. And it should be a great matchup between Silas and Hurd, two tremendous offensive rebounders, and we'll try to get some isolation on them.
Hi, Rick. Referee Daryl Garrettson, wearing number 10 on his back, will throw it up. He's working with Jake O'Donnell. You can't ask for better officials than we've got here this afternoon. And we are ready to start. Unbelievable that the Phoenix Suns are battling for a championship. During the regular season, they are only 2 games over 500. Whoever gets it will have the ball to start the 4th quarter. It will be the Celtics, and now as they come up, we will watch the Phoenix Suns defense against them. Cowens is right there at the free throw line, setting up high. Nelson is there, Curtis Perry watching him. It was Alvan Adams who jumped out on Cowens. So just as he did against the Warriors, Adams with a big steal. Garfield Hurd with the game's first shot, and it is short. Celtics come right back down, and the Suns have rotated back quickly on defense. Scott outside, cross court to Silas. At this end, Westphal is taking Scott. So we do have a change with the guards at either end. Rick will tell us what that means. Inside to Silas, and he was fouled as he tried to come up.
Well, penetration will do that to you sometimes. Let's watch the slow motion replay here. As Charlie Scott penetrates, Silas cuts into the basket, a smart move, and was fouled from behind. That's the sign of a good, intelligent basketball player. When a man penetrates, your man turns his head and goes to help. You've got to go to the basket, and that's exactly what Paul Silas did. Charlie Scott found him.
First foul on Alvan Adams. Paul Silas has shot very well from the free throw line in the playoffs. During the regular season, he was not so effective. He upped it from 60 to about 83% against Buffalo and Cleveland. Hits 1 of 2 here, and the Celtics lead it by that free throw.
And there's the pressure by the Celtics. Sobers over and back. Good call by Daryl Garrettson.
From over on the side after that turnover.
He did that a couple times against us also. He gets a little careless when that pressure comes up at the half-court line. You must be careful at that point.
White giving it to Scott. Sobers taking Charlie. The rookie is on the veteran. Nelson waiting to set the play. Scott. 3-0 Celtics with 10:59 to go in the first quarter. We are just underway. Game 1 of the NBA championship, and a backcourt foul on Charlie Scott, who in 12 playoff games has fouled out of 6.
Well, I'm glad to see that. Daryl Garrettson is setting exactly what is going to take place in this game. He's establishing what type of aggressiveness is going to be allowed, and I think that if the Celtics are allowed to be overly aggressive, it really is a big factor for them.
That is a big question that we should put up to Mendy Rudolph right now. Mendy, what about the officiating and that pressure defense the Celtics exert?
No question about it, Brent. Officiating is play a very, very big part in this series. The Celtics have a history of coming out and playing with a lot of hands and a lot of bodies. And if they allow them to do that during the ball game, it puts the other team at a completely disadvantage. It will play a major part in this series.
3-2, Celtics over the Suns. Cowens down low. Adams watching him. Hurd was helping out. Scott again. There's that pressure defense that Rick Barry was pointing out to you. Scott picking up Sobers. 5-2, Celtics lead. Sobers gets inside and hits Garfield Hurd. Wouldn't stay down. Silas came out with a board.
That's exactly what they have to do. They must get inside the Celtic defense.
Intercepted by Hurd. On the turnover, here come the Suns. They can pull to within 1 point. 5-2. Hurd gives it off to Sobers. The guards of the Suns will cut all game long. Cowens got up and pounded the ball with his hand.
We're going to see some incredible action underneath the boards in this series.
So at the Celtic end, Rick, I see that Silas has been assigned to Perry, even though they've switched off right now, and Paul is over there on Garfield. Here's Westphal. Inside, great pass to Alvan Adams.
Beautiful pass, and this is exactly what the Phoenix Suns love to do. They love to run the pick and roll plays. They love to run cuts to the basket.
Now the Celtics ahead by 1, go back to working it as Cowens inside. Silas with a second chance opportunity and a miss. Fine move by Sobers, turned around. Adams to the basket, lost control and traveled.
Watch this last. Here we see Westphal dribbling the ball. Excellent roll that time by the rookie Adams. Beautiful pass, easy 2 points. That's what the game's about. It makes it easy when you play like that.
John McLeod yelling instructions to his amazing Phoenix Suns. White gets away from Westphal momentarily. Phoenix forces them back outside. 5-4 Celtics. Scott for his third field goal.
Well, Charlie Scott has got the hot hand now, and he's doing things by himself out there. And they're going to have to move up on him and try to force him to put the ball on the floor.
Sobers over on the right side. Garfield Hurd out far from the basket. Nelson pressuring him. 9:07 Hurd on the move. Gives it off to Curtis Perry. Cowens up over everyone for the rebound. Celtics back quickly. Joe White had it deflected and didn't get back on the ball. And here's Garfield Hurd. Didn't get any help that time. Here's Paul Westphal. Perry with a second chance has got it, and here's a chance for a three-point play.
Those are the plays that really hurt. An offensive rebound. Curtis Perry had inside position. Watch Paul Westphal coming down. He shot the ball. Perry already has it, lays it back up. Fouled by Nelson on the play. Curtis Perry really works hard on the offensive boards. In fact, of his 60-some-odd rebounds during the course of the playoffs, 47 of them coming to the offensive boards. He really hurt us badly there, and once again, three-point play opportunity.
We got a shot there, Rick, of John McLeod talking to Ricky Sobers. He works a great deal with his rookie guard. All tied at 7. 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the first quarter. Rick, I imagine this game is very important psychologically for the Suns. They have to prove to themselves they can play with the Celtics. As Don Nelson with a miss, rebound by Hurd.
Not a very good shot by Don Nelson. That's a little bit out of Don's range. Certainly, if they feel they can win the game, it's a fantastic advantage for them. But if they can just do a reasonably good job and stay close, it's got to also help them. Another great pick-and-roll play.
That's Adams' strength, isn't it? That pass inside.
Without question, he is a great passer for a big man, and this is what the Suns do so well. They continually run cuts to the basket, and if you are just a little bit late defensively, turning your head, Adams will get the ball to the man, and this time he got the ball to Perry.
And that's 2 fouls on Charlie Scott, something we have to keep an eye on. On the team's side, 3 fouls against the Celtics, 1 against the Suns.
Here's the play again. Look at Adams. He sees the man move to the basket, very alert. Charlie Scott with the foul.
Perry trying to break the tie, and he does. 8:20 left first quarter. 8-7, Suns over Celtics, Game 1 championship series. Game 2 Thursday night, live on CBS. JoJo White drove the baseline, and it was offense.
JoJo had the lane, and he used his left arm a little bit to clear Westphal out of the way. And
we've had a lot of offensive fouls called here in the East. Rick, what about your series?
That was a stepping on
this
the
was step on the out-of-bounds line,
He
right?
was not forced out of bounds. He stepped on the outside line, and he was not called for the foul.
Were there a lot of offensive fouls in that series, Golden State Phoenix?
Not an exceptional amount, no.
There have been with the Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. As Sobers goes inside to Hurd, maneuvering, turnaround, uses the glass very well.
That is patented Phoenix play. Little pick down below, get the big man down there and drop it to him. And that's where Hurd and Perry are so tough.
3-point Phoenix lead and 7:45 to go in the first. White gets inside, back quickly to Scott. Will he make it 4? And it was Hurd inside. You can see the position the Suns had, rebounding. They know how critical that area is going to be. Here's Sobers slowing it down. Garfield Hurd is not there. It's 4-on-5. Perry had it knocked away, and Silas apparently fouled it.
Silas a little over-aggressive from behind. The big fact right now, Brent, is that Phoenix is playing their tempo. The Celtics are not running and playing their style of play. And here comes John Havlicek. Tom Heinsohn must figure that he needs a little bit of a moral uplift to get Havlicek in the game.
This is earlier than they wanted to use John Havlicek. 10-7, Suns up by 3 in 7:20. Westphal 44 with the basketball.
Celtics haven't scored in over 2 minutes.
Turnaround is short. Now they've got a chance to pull within 1. Scott with the ball, not a good pass, right at Sobers. Here comes Garfield Hurd, keeping the ball in bounds, or did he travel? Yes, he did.
Well, we saw a couple of bad plays there. First of all, Paul Westphal forced up a bad jump shot. Then Charlie Scott tried to throw a bounce pass through 2 people, and Gar Hurd, who made the steal, couldn't get the handle on it and carried it. A little bit tight, I think, here in the early stages, which is to be understood in the championship series.
We have a 20-second injury timeout with Joe Prosky. tending to Ricky Sober's right hand. Did he injure that against you?
His right thumb. He jammed it against us, and he had to have a couple 20-second timeouts there also. And as you can see, he's got it taped fairly heavily. And that is on his shooting hand and his ball control hand.
His emergence as a fine regular has helped John McLeod tremendously, because now he can bring Dick Van Arsdale, the veteran, off the bench, as he will before this first half is over. Offensive foul on JoJo White. And we're going to have a timeout. Tommy Heinsohn bringing the Celtics over. White sauntering over to the bench. It's 10-7. The Suns with a surprising performance here early in Game 1 of the championship series.
I started drinking light beer from Miller a couple of years ago. I started drinking it because I heard it was less filling. But you know something? I kept on drinking because it tastes so great. Now, I don't care what you guys like about it, as long as you like it.
Hello, Mickey. Got a light?
Sure, doll. What's a nice girl like you doing in a commercial like this?
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Day and night, mile after mile, we put 40,000 miles on a set of Sears road handlers and went on to run the route of the Pony Express. From Missouri to California, Road Handler, Sears' best steel-belted radio. It's the tire that ran 40,000 miles and then took on the rugged route of the Pony Express. Our widest radial design with more steel than before. The Road Handler, Sears' best steel-belted radio. Only at Sears.
Next Saturday at 4:30, Sunday at 4, Jack Nicklaus heads a star-studded field when CBS Sports presents the $200,000 Memorial Tournament from Muirfield Village, Ohio. Hubie Green, Tom Weiskopf, and Lee Trevino will be shooting for the $40,000 first prize. That's the Memorial Tournament next Saturday at 4:30, Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Mindy, Alvan Adams against Dave Cowens. How's that matchup look so far?
Now, Adams is siding on Cowens as well as fronting him. He's a very mobile young center, and he can play Cowens that way, which has committed Boston into 6 turnovers so far. Also, an interesting stat as we go into the second half of this quarter, Brent, is that Boston has 14 fouls as opposed to Phoenix, which just has 1. So Boston is in foul trouble, and we can look for Phoenix to drive to the hoop.
Right, the reason for that is that cutting to the basket, they're getting inside the Celtic defense, whereas the Celtics have only gotten inside one time. They're relying on the perimeter.
All right, Rick and Mindy, let's see if they can go to work now inside and what Heinsohn's timeout will mean. Here's Garfield Hurd at the perimeter this time. Didn't matter. He was hot.
They say he's not a good outside shooter, but he sure can fire in those 18-footers. They're going to have to get up on him and take that shot away.
21 points in Game 7 against Golden State. So here's John Havlicek with possession. Cowens cuts inside, and Celtics did not work that play well.
He is not moving well at all.
Cowens gives it back to JoJo White. Garfield, Hurd, and Perry are there. Curtis with a pass to Westphal quickly to Hurd, who got down. Is he hustling, Rick? Missed the shot, battle, second chance, turnaround. And David Cowens takes it off. And Curtis Perry is right there. Suns have come to play. Get ready for this championship series. Here's Westphal, baseline left side. Just missing, but if they had opportunities, it's 12-7 and 5:59. White applying offensive pressure for the Celtics.
JoJo has to take that shot. That's the one that he can make off the break on the left side. He just loves it from 15 feet. They've got to move the ball up to get those good opportunities. That's Celtic basketball.
I reckon the Suns are ahead of the Celtics by just 3 in 5:42 left in the first quarter. Adams inside to Sobers. That's Phoenix Suns basketball, but the ball won't fall for him right now. JoJo with a great move. Got away from Hurd and Sobers. Scott with a pass to Silas, and the ball got away and out of bounds.
Well, the Celtics are really a little bit tight handling that ball. That's 8 turnovers now for them. And they got a break there because there could have easily been a foul called on Charlie Scott in that last play under the basket.
Gerald Gerritsen and Jake O'Donnell are the 2 officials. Alvan Adams looking to pass. He can do it. Turnaround. Not there. And the Suns can't put the ball in the hole right now. 12-9 and 5-10. Here's Hondo. Off to Charlie Scott, got inside, blocked by Garfield Hurd. Silas comes around, rolls the right-handed hook. Up in the air goes Perry. Cowens is there. Perry with control, and here is Sobers.
The Suns are doing a great job on their defensive boards and not allowing Boston to get 2 or 3 opportunities at the basket.
Reminder, next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. on CBS, the Jack Nicklaus Memorial Day Golf Tournament. And here are the Phoenix Suns, leading by 3. And as Curtis Perry went to turn around, there was contact down there, and they have turned it over, a 3-second violation. So there was no foul, and Keith Erickson, he was sensational against you guys.
Well, he broke our back, is a good way of putting it. He was really incredible, and he's coming in now for a little offense. John McLeod, a little unhappy that the ball's not going in the basket. He hopes Keith can help him out.
Erickson averaged 14.5 points a game in the 7-game series against the Warriors. White using the glass, ball wouldn't stay. Look at that battle underneath, and Curtis Perry, who is working along with Garfield Hurd to keep Paul Silas and Dave Cowens from dominating. Again, the Suns bring it down. They lead it by 3 points. We've got 4 minutes and 18 seconds to go in the first quarter from the Boston Garden. Inside to Alvan Adams. Shoots up over Cowens.
Come on! That's the advantage that they have with Adams. He's got a great outside shot, nice soft touch there, and he pulls Cowens away from the boards, enabling Hurd and Perry to get on the offensive boards.
Mindy, they're bringing the ball back to this side. John McLeod is asking the same question I am.
That's for you, Curtis. 7, Alvin. 7.
So they have warned them over there on the sideline. No technical. Havlicek. And it's 14-11, a 3-point lead. 3:45.
John with good movement that time, and that's the way he gets himself free.
Westphal working to Adams, and he traveled. Up out.
Alvin had a little problem with that in our series also. Coming off of those screens, he has a tendency to shuffle his feet a little bit.
Kevin Stakem has just checked in, Rick. He's number 27. He'll work with JoJo White. Let's see the matchups here. Westphal waiting for Stakem, and Sobers there with White. Curtis Perry is watching Silas. Adams, of course, is on count. Jump hook.
There's another good soft touch shot by Dave Cowens, trying to use his strength and muscle against Adams down low.
I think we've had a second warning, this time to the Celtic bench. So Jake O'Donnell wants no nonsense, not from John McLeod and not from Tommy Heinsohn. Sobers against Stakem's pressure. It's a 14-13 game. Suns leading by a point. We've got 3:12 to go. First quarter, Boston Garden.
3 seconds.
Sobers up over Stakem.
Simple little screen down play with forward going down and setting a screen on the guard, popping out with the jumper.
Pass inside, deflected by Perry, and Sobers is right back with it for the Suns. They're ahead by 3, and they look very poised for a young team. You're watching a basketball team with 4 newcomers to its starting lineup this year. Amazing. Curtis Perry, he's the only returnee. Erickson was there battling against John Havlicek, and Erickson is called for the foul. He's not very happy about it either. We're going to have a timeout. Al Bianchi, the assistant. You're looking at Tommy Heinsohn. He works with John Killalay of the Boston Celtics. Bianchi, of course, teaming up with John McLeod. 16-13, Game 1, NBA Championship.
The Dotson's always been dependable.
You know, after 95,000 miles, I think we both felt our Datsun still looked good.
We were rough on the car, too.
We had to go through some gravel roads, some rough fields, and we took it all over the place. And we can get a good full life out of a Datsun.
You betcha, yeah. It's always been dependable.
Datsun dependability comes 14 ways. Sedans, wagons, hatchbacks, trucks, and sports cars. Datsun saves.
Our heads are stuffed with knowledge, our stomachs with cheese and ham. But this is life at college as we cram for each exam. Alka-Seltzer, plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is.
Those speedy Alka-Seltzer bubbles burst into action, speeding relief to your upset stomach and aching head.
Oh, what a relief it is.
Thursday night at 9 and Sunday at 1:30, the fight for the NBA championship continues when the surprising Phoenix Suns, led by the NBA Rookie of the Year, Alvan Adams, take on Dave Cowens and the explosive Boston Celtics. That's Thursday at 9 p.m., Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Back in the Boston Garden. It's 16-13 with 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go in the first quarter. Game 2 will be right here in the Boston Garden, and all of the games will be carried on CBS. Rick, there's a statistic we're paying attention to.
Yes, and it's a very important statistic. 3 of the 5 times that Phoenix has turned the ball over, the Celtics have capitalized on it, whereas Phoenix has only capitalized twice at 9 turnovers. And if the other team is going to make mistakes, you must make them pay for it.
Kevin Stakem, who is giving Charlie Scott a rest, bringing it up for the Celtics. Silas and Havlicek are the forwards. Pass back to Silas, who cut off of Cowens. Erickson. Pass to Westphal, and here come the Suns, trying to increase that lead to 5 points. 2:29 to go in the first quarter. Rick, the Suns might have been just a little bit tight the last 5 minutes. They missed some marvelous scoring opportunities. Westphal with a miss. Here come the Celtics.
Exactly. Paul Westphal is the one man who has not gotten the range yet, and if he does, the Celtics really have their hands full.
Cowens. It's a 1-point lead by the Suns. Cowens putting the ball up from outside, as he will do. Perry waiting. It's a foul inside away from the ball.
Kevin Stakem.
Cowens picks it up.
Was cutting through, and Dave Cowens picked up the foul, hitting him with the elbow, as Jake O'Donnell points out. But the big important fact right now is that Phoenix is working the ball and getting it inside for opportunities. Even though they've missed several easy opportunities, they're still getting inside that Celtic defense. The Celtics, conversely, have only scored 1 time on an inside play. Everything's come from the outside.
All right, now this ball's in play.
Here, take a look at Cowens on the play and see. There he is. And watch Sobers coming through. And there's the elbow.
18-15, a 3-point Sun lead. 1 minute and 55 seconds to play in the first quarter. Cowens, Havlicek cuts off, and Adams was there. And here's Sobers. He should be able to put it away.
Oh, great anticipation that time by Alvan Adams. And the Celtics must be careful with their passing. They're very, very sloppy with the ball. They've committed as many turnovers in this first quarter as they do sometimes in the whole game.
Hondo outside. He answers it right now. Makes it 20-17. He only played a few minutes against Cleveland the other night, Rick, but he dominated the game down the stretch. He came in, and it was his basketball game.
I just wonder what's going to happen when he has that halftime rest and see if he can get warmed up again.
Ball is short, knocked away by Havlicek to Cowens. The crowd thought that Erickson had fouled Hondo. Now John is back on the attack after getting off the floor. Curtis Perry, who was muscling Silas away, yanks it down. Westphal to Adams. Erickson was cutting through, and they stepped out of bounds.
Both teams just a little bit tight with their passing, but another important fact, Phoenix is dominating the defensive boards. Paul Silas has not been getting in, nor Dave Cowens on that offensive boards, and they're doing an excellent job of that, and that's causing a problem for the Celtic offense.
Looks like good body position.
Fantastic blocking off before they're going. They're not releasing, they're blocking off first.
Rick, we've come down to the last 50 seconds of the first quarter. Inside to Stakem.
Paul Westphal got lost that time, turned his head to the ball, and his men went to the basket. Cowens made a great pass, seeing him go.
Suns lead it by a point, and we're down to the last 30 seconds of the first quarter. Curtis Perry up against JoJo White, who'd switched over, and it was John Havlicek who controlled that. Cowens picked it up, long pass to Stakem, slicing toward the basket. He's got it, and it is Kevin Stakem who has hit 2 quick field goals and a chance to add a free throw.
Here's the play again. Dave Cowens with a fantastic lead pass over to Sobers, right to Stakem, who takes it in, makes a good move, and Sobers fouls him on the hand. And this is what Dave Cowens does so well, and what the Celtics are known for, that fast break opportunity on the long pass.
Celtic pressure. They have gone ahead 22-20 on the strength of 5 points. Poured in by second-year pro Kevin Stakem, who says he did not play well against the Cleveland Cavaliers and has come to prove something against Phoenix. Sobers working against him right now. Sobers comes up over it. And Cowens gets back the rebound. With a 2-point lead, the clock runs out before JoJo White can get it down and take a shot at it. 22-20 at the end of the first quarter. And I think you were right, Rick, when you pointed out that the Suns were just a little bit nervous. They led it by 3, and several times they had a chance to open it up, and they couldn't. And now Boston's gone ahead.
You'll see the best in basketball when you watch the NBA. When you watch the NBA on CBS.
AMF made the weekend. One day, Monday came to AMF for help.
Can you help me? I'm feeling very blue.
What's the matter?
Nobody likes me.
Why not?
Lousy, rotten day. Lousy, rotten I'm the first day of another work week. They're all grumpy and mad.
I tell you what. Let's put 2 days of recreation in front of you. We'll call it a weekend. We'll make them bikes to ride, and boats to sail, and balls to bounce and bowl, to recreate. Let their other half live.
AMF. We make Ben Hogan golf equipment, Sunfish sailboats, Voight balls, Hatteras yachts. We make weekends. And since AMF has been making weekends, Monday's been a happier day.
Thank you.
Well, when we first started this business out, it's like any business. You don't make much money, if any. And by using the Dodsons, we didn't have to make a whole lot to not to be losing too much. I just bought this new 1976 Dodson here. I traded in a 1971 that had 230,000 miles on it. We find our Dodsons very dependable, just about as dependable as the sun coming up in the morning.
Rick, there must be a couple of viewpoints as they break their huddles. What about the Boston Celtics? What could they be thinking about?
Well, I think the Celtics have to figure that they didn't play their game of basketball. They basically played the Suns' game, and yet they're sitting there with a 2-point advantage, so that's got to make them feel good. But conversely, Phoenix could be sitting there saying, well, we got the Celtics to play our game, so we know we're capable of doing that, and we just didn't get any breaks on the shots. And if we start hitting a little bit better on our shots, that we've got a great chance to beat this ball club. So I don't think there's any great advantage for either team right now from a psychological standpoint.
Exactly what you say, Rick. 7 of 23 for the Suns, 31%. Boston hit 10 of 20, 50. I'll tell you, if the ball would have fallen for the Suns, they could have opened up a 10 or a 12-point lead there midway through the first quarter.
Easily.
Now Sobers brings it up, and Kevin Stakem, who put Boston back on top, is still in the game. So is Keith Erickson, who came off John McLeod's bench, and Dick Van Arsdale is out there wearing that padding on his left wrist, which he broke earlier in the season. In his first NBA championship, Dick Van Arsdale.
There is great defense by the Boston Celtics. That's what they can do so well, and they have to do that to force the Suns out of their pattern. If they can get that type of defensive play, the Suns are going to have a lot of problems.
No excuse for not getting off a shot, is there?
Well, there was great defense play. They had nothing to do.
You got to throw them a bad one, though, right?
They still should have got one up. But they didn't know what the time was.
I don't need your voice.
Well, that could be the mistake of a young team, somebody not talking, someone else.
Exactly. You should try to communicate on defense, but I'm surprised because they were in front of their own bench, and they should have gotten some help there.
Scott David back to John Havlicek. 22-20, just underway in the second quarter for the Boston Garden. Game 2 Thursday night on CBS. Scott comes up, and it's a 4-point Celtic lead.
Now we see the Celtics going to the inside against something they didn't do that well in the first half. It's been almost 3 minutes since the Suns have scored, Brent.
Let's see what they come up with here. Adams the center, Erickson and Hurd are the forwards. Van Arsdale and Sobers. It's Erickson outside with a miss. Battle for the rebound, a second chance for the Suns. Alvan Adams control. And got back inside was Keith Erickson. A third chance, and it won't fall. And did you see Cowens come out of there with a message?
Yeah, he was a little bit upset that time, and he wanted to let him know that they better stop fooling around in there.
Stakem rolling through the lane, battling, controls it again, and he comes up with a pass to Cowens. And here's Steve Kaburski. Taken down by Alvan Adams.
They're still doing a great job on the defensive boards, and that's the important thing. That was a lucky offensive rebound that time for the Celtics.
Rick, the only player with 2 fouls so far is Charlie Scott. He has come back after resting. Erickson working against Havlicek. Hondo with a block. Erickson steps on the out-of-bounds line. 24-20. Celtics up by 4.
Let's watch the play here. We'll see Erickson cut down the middle, get the bounce pass, go up for the shot. John Havlicek with great timing. He really jumped well that time off that foot. Of course, he used a little bit more power on the right one rather than his left one.
Van Arsdale picks up Scott. Cowens rolling left. Takes the shot. And again, as Rick pointed out, tremendous positioning and defensive rebounding by the Suns. The Celtics are not getting second chances. Here's Alvan Adams. Suns trail it by 4. Charlie Scott back down on the move.
That's not a good shot for the Suns. They didn't run their offense that time.
They're going to come the other way on that play. It was Charlie Scott who lost control of it.
Charlie got caught up in the air and committed himself and lost the handle on the ball.
Got a timeout coming up here, and Dennis Autry, number 21, will be checking in to replace the Rookie of the Year, Alvan Adams, when we come back to the Boston Garden in Game 1 of the championship.
In 7,500 miles, your oil filter cycles enough oil to fill 3 tank trucks. A big job, and here's the filter for it. Introducing the Silver Bullet, new double oil filter from STP. The only one that filters every drop of oil through 2 filter elements every filter cycle, for a better combination of long life and high efficiency than the 5 other best-selling filters. Filter all your oil twice with the Silver Bullet, new from STP.
You know, we've had a few disagreements over the years, but there's one thing we do agree on, and that's light beer from Miller. Light is 1/3 less calories than their regular beer.
But the best part is that it tastes so great.
The best part is it's less filling.
Nah, it tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling. Less filling. You know even less about beer than basketball.
That's it, Heinsohn. You're out of the bar.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Okay, hey. Come on, David. Know the secret of a good pass? The right grip. Just like a firm tire grip on the road is important to safety and comfort. That's why I use Armstrong tires. They grip the road. Whether you drive a large car or a small car, count on your local Armstrong dealers for the right tire at the right price. Armstrong tires grip the road.
Mindy, I understand that you have just thrown Tommy Heinsohn out of that saloon for the 500th time. What do you got on some shooting percentages over there?
We have no one really shooting well on either team, and I think that if either team would start hitting the basket with any consistency, they're going to open up a lead here. Somebody has got to start shooting and get a hot hand. Nobody has had it up till now.
9:35 to go in the first half, and it's 24-20.
Over 4 minutes since the Suns have scored. And what they've got to do, and they're doing it now, they're running their offense again. They can't go out of that offense and start
Shot
taking
clock
bad
down
shots.
inside of 5 again, Rick, as Hurd comes up over Kaversky, races to the ball. Second chance for Garfield Hurd, and there was contact as he came up that time.
Well, they got a break there. He had to take a difficult shot. He forced it up, but wisely he ran after it, knowing darn well it didn't have a chance to go in, and he got the ball back, and he got the second opportunity and picked up the foul. But they have not run their offense in the last 4 or 5 minutes. They're starting to go away from it, and if they do that, they're going to play right into the Celtics' hands.
CBS has come up with an answer to Evel Knievel. Be watching at halftime, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Battle for the ball. Stakem races back. Westphal hits it. Suns with control. 9-14. Still a 4-point Celtic lead. Garfield Hurd. Kaversky raced over there to front him. Forced it. And Cowens passes off to Charlie Scott. And Autry got back on the block.
We saw 2 great defensive plays that time. The first one was by Steve Kaversky, who... Well, here we see the break coming down with Charlie Scott driving in, going up. Good timing by Dennis Autry to knock it out of bounds. But Kaversky made a great play down the other end by not leaving his feet.
And John Havlicek has gone out as the Suns come right back down. The turnover away from Autry, and there to save it was Westphal. Hits Garfield Hurd. Now, the Suns are still cold. 24-20, and it's 8:45 to go in the first half. Cowens outside. He's 1 of 2 from that range. Scott off to Kaversky.
There's the all-important offensive rebounds and scoring afterwards that we talked about. One of the few that the Celtics have gotten.
And a 6-point Celtic lead in Game 1. Game 2, right back here in Boston Garden Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, CBS. Erickson.
It's the first 2 points in almost 6 minutes for Phoenix.
Curtis Perry is going to check back into the game. 8-12. Cowens. 28-22. Scott awaiting Dick Van Arsdale.
been some good defense played by both teams in spurts.
Westphal. And the Suns have come back here with 2 quick field goals, so maybe they're going to shoot their way out of it.
Well, they may do that because the 2 men who just made the last baskets, both Erickson and Westphal, are very capable of getting hot and scoring a lot of points very quickly.
Rick, in the first game of a 7-game series, I imagine it's a lot like a couple of fighters trying to feel each other out.
Well, exactly. You're trying to see if you can establish a certain style, and we see right now that Gar Hurd's going to get a rest as Curtis Perry comes back in the ball game. And sometimes you tend to be looking a little bit too much rather than playing, trying to see what's happening out there instead of just going out and doing your own thing.
Silas gave it off to Scott. Clock comes down to 7:35. It's a 4-point Celtic lead, 28-24. Inside to Silas, who was backing in that time, and there's an offensive foul.
Well, let's watch this one again. Curtis Perry at good position. There we see Silas backing back in, and I would have to say that he definitely initiated the contact. Perry gave a little bit of an act with it, too.
Dick Van Arsdale favor that hand when he dribbles. Rick, did he go to his right hand a lot?
Yes, he does. He does not like to use that hand too much dribbling the ball.
Erickson up over Silas, and he's hot again.
Yes, that's the way he was against us. It seems like he's not even sent. He just throws it up there, and the thing sometimes hits nothing but the bottom of the court.
Man, right on him, and he cut the Celtics lead to 2 inside of 7. Silas comes back to give himself a second chance. Put it down, and he also drew the foul. He'll come to the free throw line.
That was a very bad shot by Paul Silas, and Havlicek comes in the game. Paul takes the shot, comes off the boards, and he sneaks in, gets the inside position, goes up for the offensive lay-in. Erickson commits the foul.
Unbelievable as it may sound, my first Datsun had 150,000 miles on it before I ever relined the brakes. The car is durable, reliable, dependable, and I do believe that with a little care and maybe love and affection, the car may run forever.
Like all Datsuns, economical B210s make the savings last. Datsun saves.
Xerox has a copier that can make regular size 8.5 by 11-inch copies. It can also make medium size 11 by 14-inch copies. It's portable, has a document feeder. But the best part of all is that it makes giant size 14 by 18-inch copies. The Xerox 3100 large document copier.
Next Saturday at 4:30, Sunday at 4, Jack Nicklaus heads a star-studded field when CBS Sports presents the $200,000 Memorial Tournament from Muirfield Village, Ohio. Hubie Green, Tom Weiskopf, and Lee Trevino will be shooting for the $40,000 first prize. That's the Memorial Tournament next Saturday at 4:30, Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Mindy, Rick was pointing out the converted turnovers and what they've meant. What about an update on that?
Boston has 13 turnovers, and Phoenix has converted into 13 points. Phoenix has 9 turnovers. Boston has converted into 10 points. So the turnovers are at a standstill right now. Neither team, again, Brent, is shooting particularly well and just looking for someone to hit the open hoops, hit the open man, and possibly pull away here.
That foul could have been very costly on Erickson. It was his 3rd one, and he's one of the fellows who finally got a hot hand. In fact, he and Westphal are the only players on Phoenix to score in this quarter, and they hadn't scored in the first quarter. Of course, Erickson didn't play very much in that quarter.
On the team side, Rick, 3 against Phoenix and 1 against Boston. Westphal gives it off to Curtis Perry. Cowens had jumped over there on him. Silas with Autry, and Autry takes the shot against the buzzer. You could hear it as it just went off in the background. They came down to 1 second to get that shot off.
It was not a good shot either.
Here's White off to the top of the circle, and Hondo up. Cowens tries to save it, but batted it back to Westphal. That's 6:15. It's 30-26. Suns trailing the Celtics in the first half. Turnaround by Keith Erickson. Cowens hustling down to the other end. Passing to Scott. David on the trail. Drives right past Autry, gives it off to Scott.
That's a basket for the Celtics, but Paul Silas never left the 3-second area from the time Dave Cowens had the ball that time. He was having a little camping experience in there.
5:48. And Arsdale with control for the Suns. And
Once
it's
again,
32-28.
another man who can really hurt the Celtics, Dick Van Arsdale.
Havlicek again.
A little luck never hurts in this game, Brent. Charlie Scott with a terrible shot, and the ball bounced right back to John Havlicek, and he buried it for the Celtics.
6-point Celtic lead. 5:15. Perry came around. Autry went to the baseline on the right side and hit it. Now it's 34-30. 5:07 to go in the first half. At halftime, Phyllis George visits the city of Phoenix. And are they ever excited down there about this Suns team? Here's JoJo White. Cowens was underneath.
And that is a big problem right there, Brent. That is the 4th foul on Keith Erickson. And watch Dave Cowens. Well, you can't see him establish the position, but now he has great inside position. The ball's coming off. He's going to get an easy basket. Erickson sees that and just pushes him right out of the way. But Dave Cowens really worked hard when he saw he had a mismatch with Erickson and established the inside position. Very intelligent play. Let's watch the play now. There he is. He's got Erickson on his back. He establishes the position, keeps him right there. Sees the shot going up. That is great basketball. That's the way the game is meant to be played.
And Rick, just as you pointed that out, Erickson went out of the game, and they also took Autry out. So Alvan Adams is here. Garfield Hurd is back. Hurd, Perry, Adams, Westphal, and Sobers. John McLeod's 5 starters are on the floor. Cowens comes up over Curtis Perry with a field goal that puts the Celtics ahead by 6, 36-30, 4:32 to go in the first half. Havlicek, Cowens, White, Silas, and Scott on the floor for Tommy Heinsohn. Perry turn around against Hondo. Cowens looking for the outlet to Havlicek. Thought better of it when Perry stepped over and jumped. Now White with control.
Celtics getting a lot of good movement out here now.
Here's White. Back to Charlie Scott, who comes up firing.
That's not a good shot. They moved the ball very well, and they got a lousy shot out of it.
Here's Perry waiting. Garfield Hurd slides inside, and Charlie Scott fouled him, and for Scott, that's his 3rd foul.
Right, and once again, not a very good foul on the part of Charlie. He had a big man outside away from the basket. There's Hurd, look at him reaching in, trying to go for the steal, picks up a silly foul.
Charlie's going to go out, Rick, and we're going to have Havlicek playing guard for the first time. Don Nelson is on the floor. So we do see one thing developing in this game. They are using John Havlicek a little bit more than they anticipated here in the first half. They hope to get by resting him a great deal in game 1. It's 36-30. Celtics lead it by 6. Cowens hustling Adams, and it was Garfield Hurd who came over, and there was a foul.
Don Nelson got caught reaching in as Hurd made his fake. Jake O'Donnell was right on top of it. Look at Heinz, disgusted look at his face. I guess he's probably one of the most demonstrative coaches in the league, and I can appreciate that because I do a little bit of that myself on the floor while playing.
I have noticed that, Barry, a few times.
It's not intentional, though.
Dick Van Arsdale back, and Paul Westphal goes out. I mentioned that Phyllis George had visited Phoenix, and Red Auerbach is going to visit Alvan Adams at halftime. They're going to talk about coaching, I believe, on Auerbach at halftime. I am just told by the truck that they have changed. We're going to have Pete Maravich at halftime. I guess it'll be showtime, Rick Barry. There are few men who can handle a basketball as well as Pete Maravich at the New Orleans Saints, so don't miss that. 36-31, 5-point lead, 3:33. Cowens waiting. Here's Don Nelson coming inside against Garfield Hurd, and there was a foul.
They had pretty good defense being played right there, and Don Nelson was not going to be taking what you would call a high percentage shot, and he was bailed out that time on the foul by Hurd. That's the 5th foul. It's going to be the bonus situation. 3 chances for 2 for Don Nelson, who has a very unique style of shooting free throws.
That's only the first foul on Hurd.
Yes, he's been very aggressive out there, and fortunately, I guess for the Suns, he has not picked up a couple of extra ones.
3:27 on the clock. Nelson puts it down. It's 38-31. 7-point Celtic lead.
The Celtic pressure has not been as fierce as I thought it was going to be, Brent.
John McLeod wanted the timeout. Darrell Garrison giving it to him. The Suns walking over to talk to him. I was just about to make the same point, Rick. That time, They were just kind of running with the ball and waiting for the Suns until they came across the timeline, and then they jumped up on them and exerted pressure.
Polaroid introduces Pronto, a little camera for SX70 pictures for only $66.
Whoever thought there'd be an inexpensive camera? Pronto for SX70 pictures, a picture in minutes. Just watch it emerge. At $66, give in to the urge.
Pronto, a surprising little camera for SX70 pictures.
Pronto! Pronto from Polaroid.
Born of the sea, developed by a master mariner over 55 years ago to battle the terrible rust-producing conditions of the ocean. Today, Rust-Oleum coatings snap rusty metal back to new life on 101 items around the home. Many handsome colors. Brush, roll, or spray. Only Rust-Oleum says stops rust brand right on the label. Rust-Oleum, industry, farm, and home.
Thursday night at 9 and Sunday at 1:30, the fight for the NBA championship continues when the surprising Phoenix Suns, led by the NBA Rookie of the Year, Alvan Adams, take on Dave Cowens and the explosive Boston Celtics. That's Thursday at 9 p.m., Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Mendy, I can't believe that with 3:21 to go in the first half, we've got a 38-31 score.
This is way below both teams' average, Brent, because against each other in the 4 games they played this year, Boston averaged 114 points and Phoenix averaged 104. We are way below par, and of course that is because of the tenacious defense and the poor shooting on both clubs right now. If Phoenix doesn't come back and score a field goal pretty quick and put 1 or 2 together, they may blow themselves out of this game right here in this quarter.
7-point Celtic lead. Cowens was there pressuring Alvan Adams. Here's Sobers. Shot clock comes down towards 5. Hope they didn't think they had all that time left. Adams taken down by Garherd. Fresh 24 and a second chance. Van Arsdale from the corner put it down.
I think they better start going to Dick a little bit more. He's taken 2 shots, had good form. He's had nothing but net on both of them, and they got to try to use him a little bit more.
At this end, Rick, Van Arsdale is taking Havlicek. Cowens comes around. Nelson off the weave, gives it off to JoJo White. There's that ball movement, looking for the shot again, but no. Before the shot, 3-second violation, turnover.
Paul Silas got caught that time, staying underneath the basket. That's one of the reasons he's such a great offensive rebounder. He's always hanging around that hoop, and let's say this time he was protected under there.
You mean to tell me that he sometimes breaks that rule?
A lot of times.
Here's Alvan Adams up against Cowens with a miss. JoJo White was on the other side.
Very bad shot by Adams. He's forcing a little bit right now. He's got to move the ball, take his time, wait for the opportunity.
Hondo.
You see that screen that time by Dave Cowens? He just lifted Dick Van Arsdale right off the ground, gave Hondo the opportunity to sink the jumper.
And a 7-point lead as a result of it. With 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go in the first half, Adams can't score.
That's a better shot for him there. He got free of Cowens, had an opportunity to turn and take his time shooting the ball.
Terry jumps off his man, picks up Havlicek. Move to Silas. Loose ball foul.
Don Nelson just shoved Dick Van Arsdale right out from underneath the basket. Jake O'Donnell was right on top of the play and picked it up. There's John McLeod giving out some instructions and calling an offensive pattern for his team.
3rd foul on Nelson. On the team side so far, Rick, there have been only 4 against the Celtics in the second quarter. Adams from the corners put down 2 in a row.
Yes, John McLeod saw that Adams had good rhythm on his last shot and called the play, which pops the center out on a good screen down by the forward.
So Adams has pulled the Suns to within 3, and Tommy Heinsohn immediately tells Steve Kaversky to go into the game, and we've got another foul.
Adams again with good anticipation, and this time he was called for going over the shoulder of Dave Cowens, going for the steal that time. He does that a lot, but he has to be careful because if you can anticipate his attempting to do that, you can really burn him bad and get an easy basket. That, of course, is the bonus situation, so Dave will go to the free throw line.
All right, gentlemen, listen,
responsibility for two. Jake, see if you can get him to wipe.
Cowens did not shoot well against the Cleveland Cavaliers, Rick, and of course a lot of credit has to go to Nate Thurmond, who played magnificently as the Cavaliers bowed out in 6 games. And Cowens says he just didn't have his rhythm going either.
Well, Nate has always been a great defensive player, and of course a taller man on a man who is a good outside shooter, if he's up on him, does create some problems.
It's 42-37, 1:26 to go in the first half. Game 1 of the championship series. Adams, who's hit 2, comes up firing again and misses. He was forcing that one a little bit. Kaversky gives it off to JoJo.
Yes, the one thing Cowens is up on him, he's not hitting. He's not to get himself open.
Havlicek was open. Paul wouldn't go. Controlled by the Suns, I believe. Yes, Curtis Perry's got it. And he traveled. That was John Havlicek, who stepped right into the passing lane and forced Perry to travel. He wanted to go to Van Arsdale, but instead Hondo stepped in, and when he looked the other way, he took the extra step. 57 seconds. Havlicek from the side, signaling the play here for the Celtics. They lead it by 5 points. Kaversky rolling inside to Silas. Curtis Perry came up and he fouled it.
Good pass that time by Kaversky. Now let's watch this play. Here comes Kaversky penetrating. Goes up in the air, draws 2 men to him. Excellent underneath scoop pass to Silas, who, as smart as he is, goes to the basket when he has that opportunity. There you saw the foul by Curtis Perry on the arm. But Paul Silas must be credited with making that play possible. If he had stayed in his normal forward position when Kaversky started the drive, Kaversky would have been caught up in the air and probably would have walked with the ball, or had to force up a bad shot.
Paul Silas, of course, once played for the Phoenix Suns. We make a great deal out of that Charlie Scott trade. But ever since Silas has come over here to the Boston Garden, the Celtics have been rough. 44-37 and 49 seconds left in the first half.
They almost didn't get that ball in on time. Of course, you only have 5 seconds to do that.
Adams waiting. The shot clock goes down to 10, and so Alvan just takes the shot.
Well, he was lucky on that one, and I think he's got to stop shooting the ball when Dave is on him. He just doesn't have that good a rhythm with a man pressuring him that tightly, at least not at this stage of the game.
5-point lead and 20 seconds to go in the first half. Kaversky gave it up, knocked right back to him. Here's White. Hondo cutting inside. Cowens muscling his way toward the basket. Offensive foul called against Dave that time, who drove Curtis Perry down.
Curtis Perry established excellent position that time, anticipated exactly what Dave was going to do, and drew the offensive foul.
Final 10 seconds of the first half.
That's a 16th turnover for Boston.
Now we come down toward the last 5 seconds. Suns trying to close in. Silas pulls it down with 2 seconds to go, and you can hear the buzzer in the background. We have come to the end of the first half in game 1 of the championship series between the Boston Celtics and the Phoenix Suns. It's 44-39 at halftime. We've got Red Auerbach, Phyllis George, and our answer to One Evel Knievel. Don't miss it.
Today's NBA championship game is sponsored by Datsun, America's #1 selling import for cars and trucks. Datsun saves. And by Johnny Miller Menswear, a new and smart way to say style, only at Sears.
You'll see the best in basketball when you watch the NBA. When you watch the NBA on CBS.
When I found out I could put 3 things into this Datsun 710, I knew it was the perfect car for me. It's not the bucket seats, front disc brakes, or the rear window defogger. That stuff comes standard. The 3 things I put in it are called Mary, Jeff, and Susan. And because of them, I know this Datsun 710 is my kind of car. A family car. Datsun saves.
Test drive a 710 sedan, hardtop, or wagon with your family this week.
Breaker 19, this is Leadfoot, heading on to 101 at Beecham Road. How's the traffic? Come on.
This is Cannon, Leadfoot.
Traffic jam's behind us. Bring it on, good buddy.
You're listening to a Cobra 29, the Citizens Band radio truck drivers use.
truckers, and just plain folks who want a CB radio that delivers the goods.
This is Leadfoot. Thank you, good buddy.
When it comes to CB radio, punch through loud and clear with a Cobra.
If you couldn't register to vote last time around, do it this time around. If you couldn't register to vote last time around, do it this time around.
Brought to you by the National Basketball Association as a public service.
Red Auerbach on Round Ball. Red Auerbach on Round Ball is sponsored by Consolidated Cigar Corporation, makers of Dutch Masters cigars.
Here in the Caribbean, Jaime Moscoso, a master of the soil, breeds tobacco for Dutch Master cigars. Today he must select the best plants so that flowers can be bagged to protect the purity of their seed. Bagging is a master's way to be sure the great taste of Dutch Masters doesn't change. Now you know why a Dutch Masters like the elite is worth more. There really are masters at Dutch Masters.
You're looking at Pistol Pete Maravich, in my opinion, the greatest playmaker playing today. A great passer, great shooter, but a lot of people don't know this. He is wonderful in all these dexterity drills. Now, Pete, when did you start all this?
It comes out of a system I started around 6 or 7 years of age, what we call homework basketball, and it takes in reaction drills, quickness drills to improve your quickness, your coordination, your confidence, and your overall ability to handle a basketball.
Well, actually, don't you get the feeling that when you're doing these things, the ball becomes sort of an extension of your hand?
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt when I was growing up. I dribbled so much, so many different ways, learning new types of drills to dribble with one ball, with two balls, and so forth, that I never really had to look at the basketball when I dribbled it, which improved my game from a great standpoint.
See, there are a lot of coaches that advocate this, but they don't do it with any application to the game itself. Now, you'd be amazed at some of the things that Pete will demonstrate to you. Pete, how about showing us a few of them?
Okay, number one, I did this for quickness, just to improve my quickness, what I call a ricochet drill. You stand with your feet apart and you just throw the ball down, back and forth like this. This is really just for coordination purposes. And then once you get into what I call the bullet ricochet, where you try to throw the ball very hard. And catch it behind, that's one.
Beautiful.
Another one, a very good quickness drill that I haven't really done that much, Coach, except in the summertime, but the object is to put the ball behind your knees. The object of this drill is to clap your hands in front and catch the ball before it hits the ground. It requires a lot of mental concentration, and I don't even know if I'll be able to get it, but I'll try.
Well, he tried pretty good, didn't he? How about a couple more, Pete?
Well, I could take two balls and show a short drill, which is just a short figure-8 drill, using two basketballs. What we call in rhythm and out of rhythm, and then going around. This really increases your ability to handle a basketball.
Now, when you see a loose ball, and that ball is a couple inches from the ground, don't you feel real superior to the next guy, knowing that you could start a dribble from that low position?
Exactly. One of the best moves I have, particularly as an individual, is putting the ball out in front of somebody, and as they go for it, do what I call a stutter dribble, back over like that.
Try that again. If I'm guarding you.
You got your hand there. Put that.
If I'm guarding him, I have a feeling that I might be able to get that ball. But through all this dexterity practice, he knows that he could beat my reaction and go by me. Now, would you advise young players out there to do those things?
A kid needs speed, quickness, and ability to have coordination, and through these drills that I do particularly, it really helped my game, and I can only wish that everybody would try to do something with the ball, because what it basically does is give you great confidence in your overall ability. When you can do something a little bit different, so forth, it really helps you.
So what you've just seen has a definite purpose. Think. When you work at it, keep telling yourself, how can this help my game? So you can work on it hard, knowing that this will improve your game.
When the Dutch Masters tobacco buyer comes to Colombia, South America, he visits tobacco dealers like me, Lorenzo Hernandez. He's looking for only the top grades of tobacco for Dutch Masters. And he knows all the Masters' tricks to make sure he finds them. Like this. Now you know why a Dutch Masters like the President has such good taste. There really are masters at Dutch Masters.
Red Auerbach on Round Ball has been sponsored by Consolidated Cigar Corporation, makers of Dutch Master cigars. There really are masters at Dutch Masters.
Back in the Boston Garden at halftime. And of course, here in the city of Boston, they expect championships. But how about down in Phoenix? They have never played for a title. And is that city excited as Phyllis George went and found out?
This was the scene 1 week ago when 5,000 fans packed the Phoenix airport to welcome home the team they call the Cinderella Suns. And Phoenix has carried that spirit right through the week as the Suns prepared for their first NBA championship game in the team's history. Season ticket holders were able to purchase tickets for the Boston series earlier this week, but it wasn't very easy. The line snaked all around the Suns' office, with some people waiting 7.5 hours before they finally reached the ticket window.
How many will you need? 4.
If the toughest thing in town is to get a ticket for the Boston series, the second toughest project is to get a call through to the Suns' office.
Phoenix Suns, one moment, please.
When NBA officials in New York couldn't do it, they sent the following telex. Can't get through your switchboard. Please call us. It was the only way to do business this week. It may be difficult to get into the Suns' office, but General Manager Jerry Colangelo does find time to get out.
We're #1. Good morning.
Each morning begins with bagels, lox, and a lot of basketball talk. These people around us, have you noticed them progressively getting more gung-ho Phoenix Suns?
You know, 4 months ago, Phyllis, things were at a low ebb, and fans were kind of nervous and upset as they had been in the past. This was all before things started to fall in place. As things did work out, and we concluded with making the playoffs and now playing for the World's Championship, you might say that we went from the outhouse to the penthouse in a very short period of time. A fellow in a Superman outfit showed up a few games ago and really got our fans going. I mean, I think it's really worth a few points to have our crowd behind us in the Coliseum. I've said they won't let us lose.
It's been the kind of week where everyone in Phoenix is talking basketball, and they're all believers now.
Pressure's going to be on Charlie Scott.
I think the adrenaline's going to be flowing a little bit on Charlie, and how it affects his game might be quite interesting. It could work to his detriment, or it could he gets excited, work to his benefit.
Even the hot spring weather has taken a back seat to the Western Division champs.
On KOOL in Phoenix, where 95% of the people are talking nothing but Phoenix Suns. I figure 4 games. 4 games, we'll call it, okay?
And in clubs, singers are saluting the Suns in their own special way.
Bring the Phoenix down, set us in flight, as we take on old Boston tonight.
Phoenix Phoenix was named after the mythical bird who rose to life again out of its own ashes. And for the past 4 months, the Phoenix Suns have accomplished that same sort of rebirth, rising from its ashes to what folks here truly believe will be the Suns' first NBA championship. This is Phyllis George for CBS Sports in Phoenix.
The NBA championship on CBS will continue after this word from your local station. Murder adds a harsh note of reality for an outpatient from a mental ward in stark drama with Kojak tonight on CBS.
What kind of a car are you looking for?
One that'll last.
You ask for it. The Toyota Corollas. Pick from 2 doors, 4 doors, 5-door wagons. Whatever model you choose will have a solid welded body built to last. One of the reasons 9 out of 10 Toyota cars ever sold in America are still on the road. If you can find a better built small car than Toyota, buy it. Quality.
You ask for it, you got it, Toyota.
At Simms, you'll never see the word sale. Simms represents at off price the world's finest brand names in ladies' and men's clothing. At all times, you can buy men's current nationally advertised $160 vested suits with the label for $88. $20 designer shirts for $9.99. There's never a reason for a sale. At Simms, an educated consumer is our best customer.
Channel 2, New York.
Back at halftime here in the Boston Garden, and I'm Brent Musburger along with Rick Barry, Mindy Rudolph, and Sonny Hill. And a week from Saturday, coming up on CBS, we have our coverage of the Belmont. And, of course, that's the third leg of the Triple Crown, Elocutionist and Bull Forbes. And also, we're going to take a look at this man, Super Joe Einhorn. And, folks, hold on. He is not going to make this jump. He survived that terrible crash, and he's going to come back to jump again. A week from Saturday, he'll go for the distance record. That's right, further out than Evel Knievel. He's going to go 160 feet live on the CBS Sports Spectacular, and of course that will be along with our coverage of the Belmont horse race. And right here at halftime, Rick, I think it's about time to turn our attention back to Game 1 of the championship and some of the highlights.
Well, yes, we're going to take a look at some of the offensive highlights, and we must remember, of course, that the defense, I think, is what did it for the Celtics in the second quarter. They really did a good job of preventing Phoenix from running their offense, forced them into difficult shots. Here we see a play early in the game. Sobers passing down deep to Garherd on an easy screen down play. He makes a good fake to get away from Nelson and banks it in off the board. Next, we're going to see Erickson passing the ball to Paul Westphal, who hits Adams coming across the middle for a little fadeaway jump shot over the outstretched arms of Dave Cowens, and a nice soft touch shot there. Next play we have, we're going to get a shot coming into the corner from Perry. The ball comes off. Havlicek kicks it around, and Cowens with a tremendous outlet pass to Kevin Stegen, who gave the Celtics a big lift coming in and getting 5 quick points. Here he goes in over Sobers on the break, picks up a 3-point play. Now we see the Celtics going inside to Charlie Scott. Ricky Sobers lost his man, turned his head. Charlie went to the basket, and Dave got the ball to him. Now here's a pass into Cowens. He gets Perry low, turns around, and just shoots the ball right over him. There's not much you can do about a play like that. Here on the play, moving away from the ball, John Havlicek comes off a screen. Look at that screen by Dave Cowens. He just lifts Van Arsdale off the ground, and Hondo has an easy jump shot coming up. And the only way to defend that, Brent, would be for Alvan Adams to step out and play the passing lane, picking up John Havlicek and making a switching play. If they did that, they could shut that play down.
You think then it is the Celtic defense and not necessarily the poor shooting by the Suns that has been the difference?
Well, I think it's a combination of two. Certainly the Suns had a very poor shooting first half, but I do think that in the middle of the second quarter, the Celtic defense certainly improved and really helped out as far as the Celtics were concerned.
Rick, right now, let's go to Sonny Hill, who's standing by with Celtic coach Tommy Heinsohn. Sonny?
Talking with Tommy here, and Tommy, 2 things right off the top. Turnovers. What did you tell your ball club about the turnovers?
Well, you know, this team, Phoenix, plays a zone type of defense, zone principles. They try and cut off the passing lanes, and we're trying to force the play. And I think we caught on to it late in the second quarter. So I think we've handled that pretty well.
The heartbeat of the Boston Celtics is John Havlicek. He came off the bench and really gave you a lift, sort of made you run a little bit.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, is run, and we quite don't have a ball player like Havlicek. All our other forwards, with the exception of McDonald, are bigger forwards and slower, and Havlicek, even with a bum foot, is still getting down the floor fast enough to put pressure on
on their defense, and we're scoring off of it. If we had a healthy John Havlicek zipping up that floor, I'd really like to see what would happen.
Healthy. He's pretty good. Let's go down to Mendy Rudolph and John McLeod.
John, I thought your team had some good shooting opportunities that first half, and also in some cases your team was standing around and not moving without the ball.
Mindy, this is what we did in the Golden State series for some of the games that we played. As we said earlier, we've had great shot opportunities. We've had the ball inside, and the Boston defense is dropping, but we're not getting the ball outside to the top of the keyhole and then around to the weak side. We've had good shots. I think we've taken some off-balance shots that we don't like to take, but they've shot 45%, we've shot 35, and we're down by 5, so we're not really in bad shape. We're not as sharp as we'd like to be, and I'm sure Boston probably feels the same way. But I think in the second half, if we move and don't dribble and pass the basketball, that we'll get better shots. Consequently, we should shoot for a better average.
I think you're lucky to be down by 5 myself.
Mendy, I think we're in a situation, we've had tremendous shots. We had a 2-on-1 break early. Garfield misses an easy shot. We've had some good steals. I think we're doing a pretty good job on the defensive boards. We haven't given them very many offensive rebounds. And like I say, I think it's a matter of being more precise in our movement and passing the ball and not trying to dribble or do it one-on-one.
Okay, John. We'll look for it all in the second half. Back to Brent.
All right, Mendy, thank you very much. To follow up on what John McLeod was telling everyone, Paul Westphal was held to 2 points in the first half. He shot only 1 of 5. His shooting percentage, 53, is the best among Phoenix players in the playoffs. So, Rick, if we're looking for any player to come back in the second half, it'll be Westphal.
You fly a lot closer to the crops than to the clouds. But when those last acres are dusted, you know it's Miller time. Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find.
It's time to relax.
America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
Miller stands clear, beer after beer. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller beer.
Can a Ford Granada match the smoothness of a $12,000 car? A series of test comparisons were made at various speeds and surface conditions between a Cadillac Seville, a Mercedes-Benz 280, and a Ford Granada. Here, over irregularly spaced boards, a vibration recorder took readings. In all tests, the Ford Granada consistently ranked first or second. Granada's base sticker price, under $4,000, excluding taxes, title, and destination charges. See your local Ford dealer.
Get that rhythm. Get that rhythm. Get ready. Shoot the ball. That's my man.
Okay, Gabe, you get that rhythm down, Dave. Get that rhythm down. Get ready to shoot that ball.
Elvin Hayes and the NBA are volunteers for Special Olympics.
That's my man.
You can help a special athlete, too. Write Special Olympics, Washington, D.C.
The preceding announcement was brought to you as a public service on behalf of the National Basketball Association. Third quarter underway. NBA championship. Phoenix with the ball, and Rick, we got some pressure right now from the Celtics.
Yes, but once again, it's still not as severe as I had anticipated.
Terry gives it to Alvan Adams, who takes the first shot, cans it, and he'll come to the free throw line.
Yes, Ricky Sober set a great screen on Dave Cowens, and Cowens didn't appreciate it. And let's take a look at it right here. Gonna look at Cowens. There's Cowens. Look at the screen by Sobers. He doesn't like that. Watch this play right. He just takes it. Says, hey, listen, get out of my way, little fella. You're not supposed to do that.
He was coming like a football player on him.
One interesting statistic, Brent, is the fact that neither team scored on a fast break opportunity in the second quarter, and that is not Celtic basketball. Not at its best.
Now it's a 2-point Celtic lead, 44-42. Third quarter just underway. Silas opened momentarily, took the pass, and it was fouled as he came up. Garfield Hurd was right there. I believe that's his second on Hurd. Didn't he have just one in the first half? Let me check that.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's his second foul. And John Havlicek just made what had to be a perfect pass. Gar Hurd made a great defensive play by dropping off of John, clogging up the middle to prevent an opportunity inside, and John saw that Silas was open and made a perfect pass to him underneath the basket.
Down at Phoenix, Paul Silas weighed 143. He is about 25 pounds lighter here with the Boston Celtics. Has helped him tremendously, that loss in weight. Alvan Adams against Cowens. Off the iron, Celtics come back down, leading it by 4. It's White with control. Cowens moves the ball to Havlicek, and Hondo left all alone to his own design.
That's what the game's all about. Move the basketball. It's a lot easier to move the ball than it is your body or putting it on the floor. And they got it to the open man, and John has been responding quite well in this game.
Here's Perry inside of Charlie Scott. Now he's alone. Put it down. Hondo battling for the rebound. Celtics with control. Try to come back quickly. White is open on the right side. Garfield Hurd cut off the passing lane. 6-point Celtic lead. Woo! Here's White. Garfield Hurd jumps out on him. Sobers with Scott. Cowens left alone outside. Sinks it. Now it is 50-42. And John McLeod immediately wants a timeout. You can see that Tommy Heinsohn was extremely pleased, Rick, with how things were going.
Yes, that's exactly the way the Celtics like to play. Get the ball up the floor quickly, move it around, set screens, get a man open, get him the ball, and hopefully put it in the basket.
The man is golfer Johnny Miller. The look is Johnny Miller menswear. The idea is a very smart one. At Sears, you buy each piece separately, then put together the outfits that suit you. The patterns, the solid colors all work together handsomely and at sensible prices. Johnny Miller menswear. It's a very together look. And that's America style. Exclusively in selected larger Sears stores.
The Pony Express, nearly 2,000 tough miles from Missouri to California. That took guts. It still does, the kind built into this tire, the Sears Road Handler. We retrace the rugged, historic route of the Pony Express to show you how tough it is. Road Handler from Sears. It's the tire that took on the route of the Pony Express and made it. Our widest radial design with more steel than before. The Road Handler, Sears' best steel-belted radial. Only at Sears.
Thursday night at 9 and Sunday at 1:30, the fight for the NBA championship continues when the surprising Phoenix Suns, led by the NBA Rookie of the Year, Alvan Adams, take on Dave Cowens and the explosive Boston Celtics. That's Thursday at 9 p.m., Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Foul situation looks like this. Erickson with 4 over on the Suns bench. Cowens 3, Scott 3, and Nelson 3.
They can get one more foul on Dave Cowens. It's going to create a very interesting coaching problem for Tommy Heinsohn.
Well, here come the Suns, and it is Alvan Adams. Puts the ball on the floor and brings it right across. Takes the pass back, waits for the guards to cut. Westphal gets inside, forces up the left-handed hook. Ball knocked out of bounds by the Celtics.
That's great hustle by Dave Cowens. He was guarding the man driving Paul Westphal, recovered and came back to almost get the rebound.
No.
50-42. Celtics lead it. Rick, we got to see if Westphal can get open and hit some hoops for him, because he was certainly one of their main men against you and earlier against Seattle in the playoffs.
Without any question, he's not been a factor offensively here this afternoon. Shot clock is down.
Celtic defense pressuring him with 5 seconds on that shot clock. Garfield Hurd can't. Havlicek was open at the other end, and they didn't pick him up in time. He swung free before Garfield took the shot. It's 50-44. 9:45 to go in the third.
3 seconds.
Cowens turns around. Adams with control. Now the Suns can pull back to within 4 points. Havlicek was all over Westphal. What do the Suns like to do off an inbounds pass?
Well, they like to run a little play down low to try and free a man. They're not running that play right now, though.
Perry swings it to Sobers.
Stand there. Don't throw it.
Shot clock inside of 10 seconds as Rick has been pointing out. Great defense. Curtis Perry had Havlicek down and couldn't hit it. White with control. High dribble.
And a little bit too high that time, Brent. He carried the ball, and Jake O'Donnell was right on top of it. Fans weren't too happy about Havlicek getting knocked down under the basket. JoJo wasn't too happy about the call, as you can see, either.
No,
neither was Tom Heinsohn.
You know who. Cowens slopped out, and that's it on Alvan Adams.
is a very big foul in this basketball game. 4 fouls now on Dave Cowens.
So he slapped Adams, and they pick it up right now. With 9-11, Rick, he's got the 4. Here's Perry back out to Westphal.
There's the good movement John McLeod wanted. They got the ball back to the open man, but Paul's still pulled from outside.
Havlicek.
John Havlicek coming off a double screen down low. Garherd made good anticipation, almost intercepted the pass.
8 minutes and 40 seconds to play in the third quarter. It's 52-44. Scott with control, and Ricky Sobers came back up and fouled it.
That is going to be a backcourt foul on Ricky Sobers. Let's watch the shot coming up here. Once again, Alvan Adams not taking a lot of time, a little bit far out for him. Rebound by Scott. Sobers over his back, according to Darryl Garrettson. It wasn't what you would call a really obvious foul.
It's amazing, Rick, how much better Charlie Scott played in the final 3 games of the Cleveland series than he did in the opening 3. He more than doubled his point production against the Cavaliers down the stretch.
That's going to happen. A good ball player may have a few bad games, but he's going to come back and generally has some pretty good ones in this series.
Well, let's see if Westphall's got it going yet, Rick. He does. 53-46 and 8:24. We'll see what the Celtics answer with. He carried it a second time. JoJo White has turned it over twice in this quarter. You know, the Suns don't lose contact.
No, they don't. They just hang right in there. They don't lose their poise, and they're not about to feel that the game is over just because a team like the Celtics makes a little bit of a run at them. Red's not going to be happy with JoJo. He did that dribbling deal, and he carried the ball twice already.
Who'd they have? Pete Maravich at halftime. JoJo wasn't watching, though. He was busy. Sobers. Pump shot is short, knocked away by Cowens. Back to Ricky. The rookie comes up. It's 53-48.
That's a break for the Suns. They're getting that ball back. No, JoJo did the dribbling with Red, and he's carried it twice, so Red's going to be upset with him.
Oh, Alvin, 2-man game. Get over here, Garfield.
You can hear Al Bianchi yelling in the background as we pick him up. White. Off, Silas was battling. Got away from him, and Sobers brings it up on the dribble. Fine move by Ricky Sobers to Perry, and it goes down.
Ricky Sobers just made a really great play. JoJo White committed, got out of the play. Sobers continued to penetrate. Got the defensive man to come to him behind the back pass.
So, Rick, it's a 3-point Celtic lead as the Suns battle in this game 1 of the NBA championship. You see how Alvan Adams, he kind of plays Cowens at the side, Rick, and then slaps at the ball.
Yes, he does. He has good quickness, good anticipation, and if the pass isn't just right, he can get his hands on a lot of balls.
7:20 on the clock. The Celtic coach, Tommy Heinsohn. And Ricky Sobers intercepted that pass and brings it right back. Got away from him, hit last by Boston. And the Suns can pull to within 1 point if they can hit here. We've got 7:13 to go in the third quarter. Game 2 of this series on CBS Thursday night. We can go a possible 7, and all 7 games will be carried on CBS Live.
Sobers is getting that same adrenaline flowing that he had against us. He gets going and hits a couple baskets, and he really does a lot of things, and that's 8 straight points for the Phoenix Suns right now, and they've closed the gap to 1, and I think they have an excellent opportunity of putting a little pressure on the Celtics. They just hang in there and hang in there all the time.
Hey, look, I want to show you something great. This new coffee maker from Norelco, the Dial-A-Brew. You know, other drip coffee makers are set at the factory their way. But with the new Norelco Dial-A-Brew, you dial to the taste you want. Light, medium, dark. Isn't that terrific? And no other coffee maker has this unique taste control system for exactly the strength you want. Pay less, pay more, but you can't buy a finer coffee maker. And only Norelco has Dial-A-Brew.
If you suffer from occasional attacks of bronchial asthma, you know tablets, capsules, or liquids can take 15 minutes to work. You want relief that starts in seconds. You want Broncaid Mist. Broncaid Mist speeds directly to your lungs, opens clogged air passages in seconds, helps release trapped air so you breathe freely, in and out. So the next time bronchial asthma attacks, fight back. Reach for Broncaid Mist.
the fastest relief possible.
Next Saturday at 4:30, Sunday at 4, Jack Nicklaus heads a star-studded field when CBS Sports presents the $200,000 Memorial Tournament from Muirfield Village, Ohio. Hubie Green, Tom Weiskopf, and Lee Trevino will be shooting for the $40,000 first prize. That's the Memorial Tournament next Saturday at 4:30, Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Mindy, this is the anniversary of that Charlie Scott, Paul Westphal trade.
And on top of that, Brent, it's interesting to point out of how did Silas get to Boston from Phoenix? It all involved in that same deal, because Paul Silas belonged to Phoenix, was traded to Boston in order for Phoenix to deal for Charlie Scott. Charlie Scott went to Phoenix, Westphal went to Phoenix, so in total it was 2 for 1.
Havlicek. Cowens got it back. Nice move, Rick.
That was a super tap by Dave Cowens. He reached up with his left hand, didn't have a real good angle, and made an exceptionally good tap on that basketball to get 2 points.
And a move, Boston back ahead by 3. JoJo White cautiously watching Westphal, and when he gave up the dribble, JoJo closed in. Here's Sobers. He's got a hot hand right now. There's his confidence. Did you see the rookie get inside of Scott? Couldn't put it down. Tries to draw the foul. Did not. Havlicek brings it back. It's 55-52. Silas on a rolling hook, and Garfield Hurd came up on him and fouled him. On the team side, 3 fouls against Phoenix and 2 against Boston with 6:14 to go in the third.
Paul Silas made a good move going to the basket. Gar Hurd came across and made what looked like was a halfway decent block, but evidently he picked up a little bit of his hand on the shot. And Sobers was not too happy about Dave Cowens knocking it down under the basket on the other end of the floor. He's a tough competitor. Let's watch him getting knocked down. Here we go. Dave Cowens with the ball. Well, he put a little bit of an act on there. He doesn't have too much reason to be upset.
Hits the free throws. It's 57-52. Celtics back ahead by 5 and 6 minutes and 12 seconds to go in the third quarter. Sobers with that injured right thumb. Garfield Hurd hits it. 57-54, a big hoop.
Not exactly a high percentage shot.
He played with that abscess tooth against you, and he was telling me he feels much better here today.
I didn't even know he had the abscess tooth.
There's JoJo inside.
There's Celtic basketball once again, moving without the ball, cutting to the basket, something that Phoenix does quite well also.
It's carried back to Ricky Sobers in 5:35 to go in the third quarter, 59-54. Adams with a pass inside, but it was before the shot. It was Charlie Scott who fouled it.
Yes, and that's 4 fouls on Charlie Scott. Once again, good movement without the ball. Paul Westphal cutting to the basket. Charlie picking up his 4th foul. You know, we've mentioned how Westphal has not been a big factor offensively. JoJo White only has 4 points.
Here's Westphal. He's hit 2 field goals here in the third quarter.
Right, JoJo has only gotten 4, and he's averaged around 20 points a game for the Celtics during the playoffs.
He was their most consistent offensive performer against Cleveland by far. 59-56. Inside to Cowens.
Alvan Adams got caught watching the basketball, lost his man. Cowens went to the hoop. Easy 2 points. Mistakes like that really hurt.
4:59. Here's the rookie right back with a field goal.
Shut him down! Little picking up a little bit as far as the tempo of the game, getting a little bit quicker up and down the floor for both teams.
Here's Charlie Scott off to Havlicek. 61-58, 4:39 to play in the third. Sobers taking Scott, so White shoots it outside. Charlie could not get open inside.
Suns are having a lot of problem with screen downs by the guard, coming around that pick by the forward, and they're going to have to switch that and stop that shot coming off, because Havlicek scored a couple of those until now JoJo White.
Keeping the Celtics ahead, too, Rick. It's 5 points, 63-58. Dick Van Arsdale will come in. Shot clock down inside 4. Suns must go to work. Adams takes it himself and cans it.
Boy, that really hurts. When you play tough defense for 23 seconds and the guy throws up a tough shot and it goes in, that really hurts.
Havlicek. The shot clock down to 10. Adams fronting Cowens. The swing to Charlie Scott, who throws one up outside. And again, it's foul.
Same thing happened. Phoenix played good defense that time. Charlie Scott hit a tough shot from the outside with the clock down to about 5 or 4.
3:36 to go in the third. 65-60. Alvan Adams. Gave it up to Scott on the pass. Wanted to go through the shoulders. And Scott charges right into Westphal. Westphal goes down.
Here we see Charlie Scott taking the ball out of the pack, bringing it up the floor, trying to get that fast break going. Now watch Westphal move over. No question that he blocks on the play.
And when we come back, Dick Van Arsdale. We'll check into John McLeod's starting lineup. Rick, a lot of folks have asked me, when is the last rookie center to start an NBA championship? I'll answer that in a moment.
AMF presents All Work and No Play makes another dull day. You've got to work to live. But if you live to work, you're only living half a life. AMF says, go, recreate, let your other half live. We make Pressliner boats, Roadmaster bicycles, Harley-Davidson motorcycles. We make weekends. And weekends make work a lot easier to live with.
State Farm agent Doug Mays.
We specialize, of course, in the personal lines, meaning the automobile insurance, the fire insurance, the life insurance.
They want someone who is professional, someone they can have confidence in, and they want to be able to understand what they're buying.
State Farm agent Jim Golden.
For their family. But most of all, they want someone that they can count on to be there when they need him. And I think most people will find that a State Farm agent's that kind of a guy.
State Farm is there.
Thursday night at 9 and Sunday at 1:30, the fight for the NBA championship continues when the surprising Phoenix Suns, led by the NBA Rookie of the Year, Alvan Adams, take on Dave Cowens and the explosive Boston Celtics. That's Thursday at 9 p.m., Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Rick, Alvan Adams is the first rookie center to start in the NBA championship series since Gene Wiley of the Lakers opposed the Celtics in 1963. Do you remember Gene Wiley?
Yes, I do. Well, he was a pretty good artist also. He used to do a lot of oil painting.
Is he still painting out of the West Coast?
I don't really know. I think he is.
Gene Wiley, wherever you are, get in touch with Rick Berry. He wants to buy one of your paintings. He can afford it.
I don't know about that.
Huh?
Mindy wants to buy one.
You're making all the money. $325, or is Pam Berry spending? How is the family? I haven't had a chance to ask you.
Well, I hope they're doing all right.
We've got $325 to go in the third period. It's 65-60. Celtics ahead of the Phoenix Suns. Stakem wheels it over to JoJo White.
There's the man that really helped the Celtics get going offensively, JoJo White.
Now we'll see if Van Arsdale can give the Suns some offense as he's checked in. He has the ball. And right away they throw it out of bounds. Turn it over.
A little lack of communication there that time. Dick Van Arsdale thought that his center, Alvan Adams, was going to pop out and decided to go back door.
It's Kevin Stakem with control as Charlie Scott takes a break. Havlicek, Cowens, and Silas up front. White and Stakem in the backcourt. Stakem gives it back to White. He goes for 2 in a row but can't hit it. And nothing but Phoenix Suns at the glass. 67-60, 2:35 to go in the third quarter. You don't get the feeling watching the Suns that they're ever out of a ball game. As Perry rolls inside, takes a beautiful backdoor pass. Adams has been averaging about 5.5 assists a game in the playoffs. White rotates in, and there's Adams with the rebound. And he just passed it too far ahead of Sobers. Turned it over, a little over anxious.
Yes, he was. They had an excellent opportunity there to get right back in the thick of things. Although 5 points is not a lot of points at this stage.
2 minutes and Stakem with possession. Van Arsdale goes with him. I know, but there's an offensive foul. That's on Stakem.
Good call. Let's watch that last pass by Alvan Adams to Curtis Perry. See, he fakes the pass to Perry. Perry gets the inside position, cuts to the hoop. Stakem's trailing, and a nice pass for 2 points.
Keith Erickson is checked back in, Rick. with those 4 fouls, and Curtis Perry goes out. Erickson was such a big factor against the Warriors. As Sobers pulls up, nothing going.
That's going the other way. Ricky Sobers used his right arm to push Kevin Stakem up, who put a lot of good pressure on him. John McLeod didn't like the call, I don't think.
His Suns trail it by 5. 1:50 to go in the third quarter, 67-62. Silas gets it to Cowens. It rotates inside.
That's the first thing that Dave Cowens has done where we can even mention his name both offensively and defensively since he picked up his 4th foul. He's been a little passive since he's gotten that 4th foul.
Arsdale wheels it to Keith Erickson. Erickson was on a championship team with the Lakers back in '72, but didn't see the action because of an injury. And he gets open on the pass from Van Arsdale. Couldn't put it down. Cowens outlet, Ricky Sobers with the interception. Brings it right back down for the Suns. Big moment here for the Suns. Adams inside. It's 69-64. Havlicek's open deep. He's all alone. Nobody stayed with him. It's 71-64 and a minute left in the third.
Boy, that really breaks your back. You work real hard to make a steal, get an easy basket, and the team turns around and throws it the length of the floor for an easy 2-back. Somebody just lost track of Havlicek there.
And somebody usually loses track of John Havlicek at some time or other. Paul Silas is not unheard. Shot clock going down. Suns must hurry. 2 seconds. Van Arsdale up with a shot.
That's about 3 shots they've hit with 1 second left on the clock. They did that against us about 4 times, too. They have a great knack for it.
Traveling, turn it over. Stakem was bringing it down. Autry checks in, and Adams will take a rest with 28 seconds to go in the third quarter. A 71-66 score.
A lot of turnovers for the Celtics.
I think you can hear John McLeod talking to Paul Westphal, warning him to get back now on defense. As he comes up, JoJo White takes him. They don't want to be burned by a man being wide open as they just were by Havlicek.
They want to try and get that last shot up near the buzzer so that the Celtics don't have an opportunity to come back.
Westphal throws it up, and the Suns will save it with 7 seconds. Erickson outside. He didn't realize they had a few more seconds than he thought.
Exactly. He didn't know it. Neither does JoJo. They didn't realize how much time was left, and that could have hurt him. They should have gotten a better shot than that.
Yeah, he had enough time to make a pass. They could have improved their position. We've got 12 minutes to play. Game 1, NBA Championship.
You'll see the best in basketball when you watch the NBA. When you watch the NBA on CBS.
How do people react to the shower massage by Waterpick?
Just like a vibrator.
Oh, wow.
Ooh la la.
I feel 10 years younger.
Kind of vibrating my muscles like a massage.
This is invigorating.
Boy, it's exhilarating. If the inventor is single, I'd like to meet him.
There's only one shower massage, and it's made by Waterpick.
Can I stay in here a little longer?
How did Pinto get to be the best-selling wagon in the world? It was easy.
Easy on the eyes. That's Pinto Wagon.
Easy on gas. Easy to handle, too.
Turns tighter than a VW Rabbit.
Easy to load and roomy, too.
And easy to buy.
How did Pinto get to be the best-selling wagon in the world?
It was easy.
The closer you look, the better we look. At your local Ford dealer.
It's adored in Bora Bora. It's the pet of all Peru.
It rates great in Guacamora.
It's the toast of Timbuktu.
It's the hit of all New Haven.
A hero in Quebec. The whole world loves world money. Bank America traveler's checks.
Jake O'Donnell has just come over to the table to talk to Mindy Rudolph. Mindy, I think we've got a problem with Dave Cowens' foul total.
Dave Cowens should have a total of 4 according to the broadcast, but in the last particular foul, the one prior to that, Brent, it was charged to JoJo White, not to Dave Cowens. So Dave Cowens does have only 3 fouls, not 4.
That's a big difference, too,
That
right?
certainly is a big difference.
71 to 66. 11 minutes and 50 seconds of play left here in regulation time. Erickson with the steal, taken away from Havlicek. Now they can come right back and close to within 3 if they can convert. Rick, we'll see what they want to do here on offense in the last quarter.
Got to get back to executing their offensive patterns.
Very patient team. Autry has replaced Adams, gives it to Van Arsdale. Tick outside. Paul Silas with a defensive board and a loose ball foul.
It's going to be number 5.
Erickson, 5 fouls on Keith.
Not the type of shot that John McLeod likes his Phoenix Suns to take. Dick Van Arsdale took a shot a little bit further than he likes to shoot the ball. And with the result, Keith Erickson has picked up his 5th foul, and he's going out as Curtis Perry comes in.
There's the converted turnovers.
Boston now picked up one on that last play when Erickson intercepted the ball, so they have 21 turnovers.
It's 71-66. Havlicek with Curtis Perry on him now, and Erickson off of the bench. Cowens at the top of the circle. Silas with a second chance. Off to Scott. Offensive board looms big right now. Scott converts. It's 73-66, a 7-point Celtic lead. Now, Rick, the Suns have got to come up with something.
Yes, it looks to me when I saw Paul Westphal's face that he's getting a little frustrated in this game.
Yes, you can see it. Turn around. Missed it. You're exactly right. You called it. He forced that one up, missed it. Here's Scott at the top of the circle. Hondo. Watch the killer instinct come out right now. And as Cowens began his run on Autry, Autry fouled him.
Dennis Autry tries to do that a great deal. For a big man, he tries to draw a lot of charges. He knows he's not a shot blocker, and that time he was called for the block.
Celtics can go up by 9 if they can hit here with 10 minutes and 30 seconds left in this game. Autry all over Cowens and gives it off to Scott, who comes up over Van Arsdale. Autry got back to the board. Now it's Westphal. And again, an important moment for the Suns on offense. And it is Westphal who takes that shot, and this time he puts it down. And a little more relaxation on his face. He must have talked to himself.
Well, I don't know, but he's still trying to do a little bit too much by himself. They still have to run those patterns. They can't go away from it if they want to be successful. That was all one-on-one.
It's 5. Cowens at the turnaround, but there was a whistle.
Garfield Hurd attempted to make what I thought was a good play. He came over to double-team Cowens, and he could have caused some real problems for him, but he tried to go for the block instead and picked up a foul, and actually Dave would have had a very difficult chance to make that basket.
That's 4 fouls on Garfield Hurd. Cowens at the line, and if you were out getting a beer or out of the room, he is playing with 3 fouls, and not the 4 that we thought. That was JoJo White who picked up that last foul.
Here's Dave with the ball with Autry on him. Comes back. Good play right there by Hurd, but he tries for the block, and he has a tendency to do that. He likes to block shots, and he would have been better off that time just trying to distract them. Alvan Adams back in the ball game now for Autry. Well, Autry stays in. He comes back in for Hurd. So they're going with 2 centers.
And Adams, a lot of people felt, might have to play it forward in the professionals, but he surprised everyone. But now we can see what he can do. He's got a marvelous outside shooting touch. Van Arsdale waits for him, but here it is. Cowens will take him. Battle for the loose ball, and it was Curtis Perry. Back to Paul Westphal. Westphal missing, and Perry. And Alvan Adams was right there to put it down, and they stayed alive with that one.
Sure it did. There's a lot of effort, and they just threw the ball away. A very costly turnover now for the Celtics. They are very sloppy with the ball here this afternoon.
74-70 and 9:35. This could be the critical moment here in Game 1. The Suns have just controlled the offensive board against the Celtics. Now Boston gives them still another chance, and Rick, they can close to within 2. And maybe you're right about Paul Westphal. We'll have to see if he's ready to get this offense moving instead of taking all the shots.
Yes, exactly. He's trying to do it by himself, and you can run into a lot of problems like that. If you go away from what you've been successful with all year, you must continue to run those patterns, get everybody involved in the offense.
There's Paul. Comes inside, up fired, and he's off again. He's hit one of his last 4 shots. JoJo White back to Charlie Scott. Cross court to Steve Kaversky, who's on the floor on the drive. Won't go down. Autry controlled. So they put Autry and Adams in there to help out rebounding with Perry. Westphal on the drive. Won't go down. And again, it's Paul Westphal on offense for the Suns. Here's Scott. Drives the other side. No, it's
gonna come out and off. Boy, they are not gonna like that call here in Boston. You can hear the boos coming up now. Let's watch this play. Mindy, take a look at this one. What do you think? Here's the pass coming out to Charlie Scott. Gives a good fake up to the basket. Autry jumps and leaves his feet. That's gonna be a foul on Autry. When you call the left hand coming out.
What do you think, Mindy? He moved that left hand?
It looked to me as if Charlie Scott had it hidden from the camera, but he bumped the chest as he went up. Very difficult call to see and to make.
That's the 5th foul, too, that was just picked up.
And here is a great substitution, I think, and this shows you what a good coach John McLeod is. Paul Westphal has been hurting his team. He's been trying to take over the offense, and he quickly is putting him on the bench, bringing in Ricky Sobers.
And Charlie Scott is gone. As we were talking about that one, Charlie Scott went down and picked up 6. You could see it. And Charlie got a technical now called against him as Charlie Scott is fouled out with 8:53. 74-70. Van Arsdale will shoot the technical. Heinsohn and Killalay are up screaming on the Celtic bench. This could pull the Suns to within 3 if Van Arsdale can put it down. He does.
They are very upset. John Havlicek, you see Tom Heinsohn, and he is really fuming. Havlicek talking to the officials, trying to find out what was going on. You see Charlie on the bench.
Autry with control. Suns trail it by 3. Here's Ricky Sobers coming left side. Kaburski picks him up. Havlicek now back at guard for the Celtics. Adams gets Cowens off his feet. Won't go, and it's John Havlicek with a big rebound. Puts the ball on the floor, and back down comes Hondo for the Celtics in 8:33. Cowens to JoJo. White at the line, cut off by Sobers. Comes back to Havlicek. Kaburski's all alone. Silas went up, tipped by Perry to Sobers, and Ricky Sobers is down with it. Suns can close to within a point. Big moment right here for Phoenix on offense.
It's a very anxious moment, but there's a lot of time left, and they've got to still go back to their offense. They can't get carried away with the emotions. Offensive foul screen this time by Curtis Perry. Let's watch the play coming up. There you see Perry going down in the screen down play with the center. Now watch him move over into JoJo White, and that was the foul.
Second foul on Curtis, too, Rick, with 8 minutes and 10 seconds to go. 74-71. Charlie Scott has fouled out of this game. 7th time in 13 playoff games that he has fouled out, and that is an NBA record. JoJo White. 76-71.
They've got to jump that. They must send the man who set the screen. That defensive man must go out on JoJo. You can't give him that type of shot.
7:45 left on the clock. Autry waits for Perry, who takes the shot at the line.
Tough shot. That's not Curtis Perry's best shot, but he came through when needed.
Pulled him within 3, Rick. And there's JoJo, who came right back down and drew the foul as he drove toward the hoop. Garfield Hurd will check back into the game. And Autry is going to go out. And for Alvan Adams, his 3rd personal foul. John McLeod and Al Bianchi look on.
JoJo White saw a little opening and took advantage of it and went to the basket, and that's where you want to get, inside.
Rick, I noticed that Charlie Scott did not find openings, and as you know, he's one of the better guards in the NBA at picking up that daylight and driving to the glass. Phoenix very conscious of that, apparently.
Yes, exactly. They kept him out of the middle very well, I thought, and where they got hurt a little bit was with the cuts off the ball and Cowens passing it down.
Sobers bringing it up, 78-73. 5-point Celtic lead. See the showtime, and it's an offensive foul against Sobers. Got a little too fancy,
Ricky Sobers trying to do a little bit too much with the ball. Again, a lot of one-on-one. He's trying to lull Paul Silas to sleep, gives him a little fake. Paul doesn't go for it, moves over, picks up the offensive foul.
7-10 left in game 1 of the NBA championship. Van Arsdale almost jumped out, didn't he? Cowens with a miss. The Suns again.
Still very impressed by the great job that the Suns are doing on the defensive boards, not allowing the Celtics that many opportunities on the 2nd and 3rd tries.
Phoenix wants a timeout, and that gives Ricky Sobers an opportunity to tell referee Darryl Gerritsen that he was not too pleased with that last offensive call. I'll tell you, you got to admire the Suns, win or lose this one. They stay tough.
George Caparo's 74 Chevrolet gets better mileage now than it got before. Because George got better mileage by the box. A box of Champion spark plugs. We've been checking cars like George's all over the country, proving that a fresh set of Champion spark plugs alone can improve mileage and performance. If you want better mileage, remember, now you can buy it by the box. Don't waste another gallon. Fill her up with Champions.
Now comes Miller time. You're so good you can play the blues even when you ain't sad. And now it's time to head for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller Beer.
Thursday night at 9 and Sunday at 1:30, the fight for the NBA championship continues when the surprising Phoenix Suns, led by the NBA Rookie of the Year, Alvan Adams, take on Dave Cowens and the explosive Boston Celtics. That's Thursday at 9 p.m., Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Brent Musburger along with Rick Barry, Mindy Rudolph, and Sonny Hill. And Mindy, what about the foul situation with 6:57 to go?
For the Boston Celtics, man, JoJo White with 2, Dave Cowens with 3, Don Nelson with 3, Paul Silas with 2. On the Phoenix Suns side, Ricky Sobers with 4, Keith Erickson, who's been ineffective because of early foul trouble, with 5, and Garfield Hurd with 4.
Phoenix with the ball, Adams with it right now, and 78-73 Celtics lead them.
Of course, the all-important team fouls, 4 for the Suns, only 1 for the Celtics.
Garfield Hurd up firing at the buzzer again, Rick, about the 4th time in this game, and JoJo White applies offensive pressure. Havlicek is in the backcourt because Charlie Scott has fouled out. So John Havlicek hoped to receive more rest on that injured left foot than he received during game 1. This could be a factor as the series continues. Cowens gives it over to JoJo.
Good movement again by the Celtics, getting a good opportunity shot by their best shooter.
And Rick, it puts them up by 7 with 6:05 to go. You can watch the Celtic defense work against that shot clock. Perry, Silas down with it. And suddenly the Celtics can go up by 9. So without Charlie Scott on the floor, perhaps Phoenix relaxed a little bit, and then again, perhaps the Celtics got a little tougher. Here's Cowens. That one's not there, but it is Silas who controls, and Havlicek wheels, and Keith Erickson will come back as JoJo White puts them up by 9.
That now matches the biggest lead of the game by the Celtics, which was 9 points at 73-64. That's 8 straight points to JoJo.
And 5:28 to go, and now it's 82-75. Going to have a timeout here with 5 minutes, 21 seconds still left in regulation time.
That's a surprising timeout. The Celtics seem to be going quite well, and it was a Celtic timeout, and I would have thought they would want to keep the momentum going.
When Roger Green was a little boy, he wanted to be a policeman. Last week it happened.
Car 34.
When Roger brought home his new Bearcat police scanner.
Car 34, 10-4.
Bearcats automatically track down the action around town and make you a part of it. Police calls, fire calls, emergency calls.
Car 34 has suspect in custody.
Well done. Bearcat scanners, the most exciting thing that's happened to home entertainment since television. Bearcat, the largest selling police scanner in America.
Hager Expandomatic Slacks with a comfortable inside elastic waistband that bends as you bend, stretches as you stretch. Hager Expandomatic Slacks of premium quality Dacron polyester double knit from only $18 for the active man. Thanks, Hager. America's best known name in slacks.
This is a commercial for Goodrich Radial Tires. What do I know about tires? I'm a woman. I know about charge cards. Look at that. It's a perfect fit. The point is, most people don't know about tires. Did you know that tires wear out unevenly and quickly if your wheels are out of alignment? Even Goodrich Radials. That can cost you more than money. What we don't know about tires can hurt us. So it's a good thing someone is telling us. Thank you, Goodrich. As a mother, I say thank you.
Selling great tires isn't enough. B.F. Goodrich, the other guys.
Mindy, you had an observation about Charlie Scott fouling out.
When Charlie Scott fouled out, the Celtics were up by 3. You've talked about the absence of Charlie Scott on the court. I question this, Brent. Is it the absence of Charlie Scott on the bench, or is it possibly the psychological lift that he gave his club with the technical foul call against him that sometimes has a lift, that sometimes gets teams to play a little tougher?
5 minutes and 10 seconds left in regulation time. Havlicek going inside, and it was Alvan Adams who stepped there in front of JoJo White and back knock on the Suns. Sobers with control, gives it up to Erickson. Erickson with those 5 fouls and a missed opportunity, and back knock on the Celtics. And Dave Cowens has played all the way in game 1. John Havlicek has been on the floor for more minutes than he's logged in quite a while. Sobers brings it back. Lead pass to Alvan Adams. Thought he took an extra step. Erickson off to Sobers. Over to Alvan Adams, and the Rookie of the Year, who's already scored 22. Did you see him charge and hustle in on it? And the Suns control because of hustling Alvan Adams. And Garfield Hurd drives baseline to put it in.
And he was called for stepping on the baseline out of bounds, and that really hurts Phoenix. Let's watch him go here. Ball bounces out. He picks it up, makes his move to the basket. You see his left foot right there. He stepped on the end line.
82-75 on the scoreboard. Tversky working against Erickson. Adams with control, and has he come alive here in the last 6 minutes?
Phoenix has had the opportunities, but they can't get the ball in the basket.
Here's Sobers. Won't stay. Hustles over. Second opportunity again, Rick, just as you pointed out. One chance after another. Hurd off the front of the iron, so they can't hit either of their opportunities. JoJo White breaks open ahead of Van Arsdale.
And what happened on that play is Dick Van Arsdale was wide open in the corner. Garfield Hurd did not pass the ball to him, and instead of getting back on defense, Dick sulked a little bit. He was upset because he didn't get the ball. JoJo White beat him down the floor for the basket.
84-75, 9-point lead. Van Arsdale takes a shot this time. They should have given him the ball, Rick.
I agree with you. I think he should have given the ball. Garfield is not as good a shooter as Dick is. He was wide open. That's his shot from the side, and he didn't get it. And he was disappointed, and it cost him a basket. JoJo White has gotten 10 straight points for the Celtics. He's carried them.
Sobers all over him, and he fouled him.
That's the bonus.
And the 5th foul on Ricky Sobers as Paul Westphal comes in. And Sobers will take a break with those 5 fouls. I tell you, that 5th foul did not make up John McLeod's mind. He already had Paul Westphal off his bench over there and ready to send him in.
Well, exactly. Paul has been an outstanding performer for him all during the year, and because he had a little bit of a tough streak going there in the middle of the 3rd quarter, he's not going to go away from him for the whole game. He's going to give him another chance.
Rick, look at the team fouls. Only 1 against the Boston Celtics. 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Suns already over the limit. 86-77. Back to 9. Crisis time for the Suns. Inside to Alvan Adams. And the Rookie of the Year looks sweet on that hoop.
Good execution that time by the Suns. They set a lot of good screens and had good movement off the ball.
2:54. JoJo back to Silas, who crashes in. Cowens with control. Back from the Suns, it's 88-79 and 2:44 left. Erickson waits for Hurd. Here's Van Arsdale. Van Arsdale pops one up. Havlicek fouled him, and John McLeod's going to take a timeout with 2:31 to go.
Well, there's no question that they're going to have to figure out some way to stop this Celtic attack, especially JoJo White, who has 18 second-half points and has been the man to carry the Celtics. Dave Cowens, of course, came on to help him with 2 points there on the second effort. And those are the shots that really hurt you when you get down to the wire. Those second opportunities and getting them back in the basket.
Rick, at halftime, we made the observation that Paul Westphal had scored but 2 points. JoJo White had scored but 2. So it is JoJo who came on and picked up his offense.
Without any question. And Paul tried to do a little bit too much, and he wasn't able to get going. And it's been a situation where JoJo got going, Paul didn't. That's been the difference right now as far as the offensive end of the game is concerned. And I think that, of course, Boston has to feel pretty good. They let Phoenix play their game in the first half. Phoenix took 46 shots to Boston's 40, and that's very unusual. Normally, the Celtics are the type of team that takes maybe 8, 10, 12 shots more in a half than the opposition.
Rick, what do you see here that Phoenix might be able to do to generate a little more offense? I know it's tough when the ball's not falling for you.
Well, they are sticking to their patterns, except for that stretch when Paul was trying to do a little bit too much. But the ball, as you say, is not dropping in the basket for them. They have just had a very poor shooting night, shooting afternoon, and it's really cost them dearly. They have just not been able to capitalize on a very sloppy Celtic team in the first 3 quarters.
Games 2 and 3 of this series. Thursday night here in the Boston Garden, and the next Sunday we will move down to Phoenix. All of the games, if we go 7, will be carried here on CBS. Last year, of course, was Rick Barry and the Golden State Warriors, who shocked the Washington Bullets. And I might add, shocked me with that 4-game sweep too, big guy. 88-79. That was some series.
Well, of course, this is a new year, and you've got 2 new teams playing for the championship, which shows you just how well balanced the NBA is getting these days. And during one stretch, Brent, JoJo White was the only scorer for the Celtics for 7 minutes and 22 seconds. That's what you call carrying the offense.
And Arsdale's free throw cuts the Celtics lead now to 8. Now 7, 2:31. Pressure by the Suns. Havlicek hits White. Westphal waits for Hondo, and Hondo goes to Silas, and here's Kaversky. Cowens has scored 23 points, 90-81.
He's been a monster on the boards. He's got 20 rebounds already.
Suns will try to battle back from that 9-point deficit. Hurd, turnaround against Kaversky, cuts it to 7. They'll pressure the ball again in the backcourt, trying to get a turnover. And the Celtics have been sloppy upon occasion in this game. Here's Silas. Gives it over to Kaversky. Steve is playing with an injured small finger on his right hand. Dislocated the Cleveland series, and that's quite painful. He played well in spots against the Cavaliers and didn't receive much credit. Westphal. Kaversky with control.
Paul has just had one of his poorer shooting nights in all of the playoff series here. Well, this afternoon, I should say.
Trying a little too hard against his former teammates here in the Boston Garden. When he relaxes, it'll be a different story. He's a marvelous shooter. Silas with a miss, and Garfield Hurd off. It's 92-83 and 125. Time running out on the Suns. Cowens. Havlicek bringing it up. Clock goes down to 1:10. Game 1 of the championship series, and the Celtics are about to take a lead. Game 2 will be coming up Thursday night on CBS. The last minute, it's 94-83. Paul Westphal with another miss. Hurd comes to the basket.
You know, you can't expect the Suns, they're a much better shooting team than this, to shoot this poorly for the whole series. So they have to look at it as a pretty good performance. They had a rotten shooting afternoon, and yet they're able to stay pretty darn close to the Celtics. And if some of those shots had dropped, we could have had a different ball game here this afternoon. So I'm sure their spirits will not be too far down.
Hondo Havlicek coming to the free throw line. 13-year veteran. 34 years old. And the bottom of his left foot, Rick, is just all black and blue, and the doctor has switched from ice to hot water treatment. Actually, not hot, but kind of lukewarm water, Dr. Silva. They're trying to soften that up, and he really was trying to get him some rest in this game today, but they didn't get him much.
A lot of time, and it'd be interesting to see how his foot responds to come back on Thursday. That extra day rest could really help him out.
Of course, the days that they have had off since the Cleveland series have helped the Celtics tremendously. Cowens has played all season with that back that has been bruised and troubling him, so he needed the rest. Down to the last 20 seconds. JoJo White with the magnificent magnificent first half. Another field goal. It's 98-87. Boston will go in leading, and Mendy Rudolph will be heading toward the locker room where he will be talking to JoJo White. Right out here on the side, I understand, we'll have Mendy with JoJo White. So that'll be coming up right after the game. 98-87. Time has run out, and the Boston Celtics have won Game 1 of the championship series. And John Killalay is upset. No, it wasn't John. It was Charlie Scott, apparently, who was headed toward one of the officials, Rick. They went back out. Did you see them grab Scott, Killalay, and Heinsohn?
That's a very wise move, because Charlie Scott could have found himself sitting on the bench for the rest of the series if he had done something foolish like going after the official.
Final score, 98-87. We'll have highlights of this, the first game of the NBA Championship Series, and we'll have an interview. Mendy Rudolph will be talking to JoJo White. As Rick has pointed out, JoJo was held to 2 points in the first half, but what a second half he had here at Game 1.
It's me, George Burns. For a guy who used to smoke cigars, even in the shower, I never thought I'd get real smoking satisfaction from a pipe tobacco. But this Sir Walter Raleigh is terrific. Made from all burley tobacco, mellow, rich, really a quality smoke. Terrific. And the pouch matches my shower curtains.
The quality pipe tobaccos of America.
The conventional small car. Here's what AMC did to give you more small car. We made it wider so you get more room. We put in an isolated suspension system for a smooth ride and rack and pinion steering for precise handling. It's got far more visibility, bigger doors, and a wide hatch. This is the AMC Pacer, and it's everything a small car never was.
Can't hear you.
All right, let's take a look at Charlie Scott over here, Rick, toward the upper left-hand portion of the screen. Tommy Heinsohn is shielding him. Who does he want, Jake O'Donnell?
He's approaching half court. Now watch Jake O'Donnell come into your screen on the right, lower right, and he's coming. Charlie wants to get to him, but John Havlicek sees that he's trying to go over there. Also Paul Silas, and they just kind of ease him off the floor so that he doesn't do anything foolish and get himself in big trouble.
And that was John Killalay, and then Tommy Heinsohn comes over to join out. Right now, let's go down to Mendy Rudolph, who's standing by with JoJo White. Mendy?
Just a great second half, JoJo. My congratulations to you.
Well, thanks a lot, Mendy. I started out slow, but I didn't take many shots the first half because they weren't there. And the ones that I took, they were, questionable shots, and so my job then was to move the club. And
you said they weren't there the first half. Now, what exactly do you mean by that?
Well, when I ran the plays for the shots, when I came off to shoot, they weren't there. So I was mainly passing the first half. But the shots showed up the second half, and I was shooting them, and they were going in.
It seemed that you picked up the offense when Charlie Scott went to the bench with his sixth foul, and from that point on, you just went on and on and on and kept scoring field goals for your ball club.
Well, Charlie was shooting it pretty good, and we were looking for him because whoever was guarding was sagging in the middle, and it left him open on the outside. And so me handling the ball, I was looking for Charlie quite a bit.
Which would you prefer, JoJo? Would you prefer handling the ball? Would you prefer scoring, setting the picks?
Well, I'd rather just quarterback, Mendy. I pride myself in being able to do a little bit of everything, but I'd rather just run the club. But on some given nights, I have to shoot the basketball.
And you shot it very well the second half. You came up with 18 points. Also, you had 4 assists in that ball game.
Well, that's my job, is to do what I have to do in certain situations, and I try and do that.
Let me ask you about your defensives now. You had Paul Westphal in a little bit of trouble today. He was forcing his shots. He wasn't scoring like he should in the past playoffs. Was there any particular game plan to defend against Paul Westphal?
Well, in playing with Wesley when he was on our team in practice and whatnot, he doesn't like for you to keep your hands on him, and I try and play him a little physical.
Oh, let me stop right there. Now, what do you mean by keeping your hands on him?
Exactly. But I found some things that bother me, and I try to use them in the game.
Tell me about those hands. I want to know about those hands out there.
Well, Jake was calling it pretty close.
Jake O'Donnell?
Jake O'Donnell. He was calling pretty close, and, they tell you not to keep your hands on people, but you try and start out playing a certain way, and then they finally let things go. So with Paul, I try and just keep my hands on him most of the time.
It seemed to me as we were watching the game that Paul Westphal got a little irritated. At one time he got a little irritated with you. I saw him throw an elbow at you, and he also seemed to throw one at Kevin Stakem out there at one point in the game.
Well, exactly. This is some of the things that we try to do in games, to try and throw a particular player's game off, and it was successful today, but I look for Thursday them to come out and settle down and be ready to play.
Did you speak about John Havlicek with Tommy Heisen before the game, of how you're going to use him, of how much ability he had, of how much capability he had in playing on that foot?
Well, John is a fantastic athlete, and we just have to play it by ear. If he says he can go, then he'll go. If he feels pretty good, he can go as long as he can go, but, you know, we're trying to watch that foot.
Jojo, I tried to get your towel before you came out here, but you didn't get one, so use my handkerchief to wipe off that perspiration, and a lot of good luck during the entire ball game. Now, the one thing that's important is you won the first game of the season, the playoffs, and I think you're headed for a championship.
Well, let's hope so, Minnie. It's important to get off to that first game, and by being at home, we had to win. Now, Thursday, we have to try and come out and do the same thing, although we know that we're going to see a different Phoenix club.
Best of luck to you.
Thanks a lot, Minnie.
The new Fiat 131. Bigger, more luxurious, more powerful than any Fiat we've ever brought to America. It's designed with a twin overhead cam engine, the same type found in some of the finest sports cars in the world. It's one of 6 sedans in the world with a 5-speed transmission as standard equipment, and it has more standard equipment than many cars costing $2,000 more. If you've never considered a Fiat before, maybe it's time.
You're in luck when you got a McCulloch chainsaw.
McCulloch Lucky Days are here, and that means savings. Buy this Mini-Mac 35 chainsaw and get a weekend woodcutter's kit. Look, carrying case, tool kit, projects booklet, and save $20. See all the McCulloch chainsaw specials during Lucky Days, now through May 31st.
You're in luck when you got a McCulloch chainsaw.
Back in the Boston Garden, where the Celtics have taken a 1-game advantage over the Phoenix Suns. I don't know about Rick, but I was very impressed with the way the Suns hung in there, even though they lost by 11 points, and that brings me to Thursday night, Game 2. Rick, what do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be a real fine basketball game. This game wasn't decided until the latter stages of the fourth quarter, and if the Phoenix Suns had any kind of a shooting afternoon at all, I think that they would have been right in there, right down to the wire. The Celtics, of course, did not play their usual faultless type basketball. They turned the ball over 23 times, and the Suns were not able to capitalize on that. But if the Suns come out and continue to stick with their patterns and are able to control the game for as long as they did in this afternoon's game as far as the tempo of the game is concerned, then I really think that they have an excellent chance if the shots drop for them.
And it will be interesting to see exactly how John Havlicek responds with Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off. I'm sure that he will not practice at all, or if much at all, with the Celtics for 3 days.
I imagine they'll give him a lot of rest. And it should be interesting.
Oh, let's now go to Sonny Hill for a report from John McLeod. Sonny?
I was talking with John McLeod just briefly in the dressing room, and he pointed out 2 things that he felt his ball club had to do to improve themselves in this series. One, he felt the defense was not as alert as it should have been, allowed the Celtics too many opportunity baskets. Number 2, he felt that the Celtics jump switching, which prevented them to get the inside play they would like to, will be something that he will have to work on. So in the next games, we'll look and see if John McLeod can make those adjustments. Now let's go back to Brent.
All right, Sonny, thank you very much. And again, that second game will be coming up Thursday night right here on CBS, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 6 o'clock out in Phoenix. That's 8 o'clock in Chicago. And let's see, that's 7 o'clock in Big Timber, Montana. Game 2, NBA Championship Series. For Mindy Rudolph, Rick Berry, Sonny Hill, this is Brent Musburger saying so long from the Boston Garden, where that final score again is the Boston Celtics 98 and Phoenix 87.
Today's NBA Championship game sponsored by Hager Slacks, designed to mix and match with Hager Tops. The NBA Championship on CBS is a presentation of CBS Sports. Sonny and Cher display their version of a super commercial, and they call on a girl of super talents to star in it. Versatile Sandy Duncan on the Sonny and Cher Show, tonight on CBS.